sentence you to life in confinement without parole.
That's f***ing horse shit. You do whatever the f*** you want.
Why are they shutting my mic off?
I'm the federal witness of the United States federal government. I demand some goddamn respect, you. All I did was trespass on property.
Ma'am, you gotta create the community that you want to live in.
Bond court is a free service, but it takes several hours of my time every day. Less than 10% of Bond court viewers hit the like button, and less than 1% leave a comment. If you want Bond court to continue to be available on YouTube for free, then please hit the like button and leave a comment on all of my videos.
Good morning, this is Dalia Romero, Spanish interpreter on the line, already sworn in today.
Alrighty, defendant is approaching the podium.
Thank you, Your Honor.
He's wearing a headset.
See.
He can hear the interpreter, Your Honor.
Alrighty, your name, sir?
Gustavo Andrés López Acevedo.
Gustavo Andres Lopez Acevedo.
Alright, sir, you're here today because you were arrested on 2 charges, battery and criminal mischief. I have reviewed the charging affidavit on sufficient probable cause. Battery charge bond said amount of $500, $100 in the criminal mischief. You do bond out on the battery charge and not to have any contact with
Elliot Rivera or Emerada Liz Acevedo?
yes, or her boyfriend. Not to possess any drugs or alcohol, any weapons or guns. And do you live at 5250 North Orange Blossom Trail?
Sí.
Yes?
Do you have another place to go since that's where her boyfriend also live?
Sí, yo tengo otro sitio donde puedo ir.
I do have another place where I can go to.
All right, so you're not allowed to return to that address. You can go back there one time with law enforcement, with the escort, to pick up any personal items you may need, any clothing, or toiletries, things such as that. But you can't have any contact with your mother or boyfriend. You can't go back to that address at this point in time. I will appoint a public defender to represent you. Good luck. That was
Pero una
2020.
pregunta, ¿te puedo hacer
Sure.
una pregunta?
But I do have a question. I have a question.
Okay.
So, ¿todavía yo tengo el violation of probation o no?
So do I still have a violation of probation or not?
I don't have, do we have that?
Oh, we don't have it here in IAs, but it was served on him.
Okay.
Interstate compact, so don't.
Okay, yeah, so yes, you do, that also is in place, apparently that was served before. Okay? I just didn't have that today. And that's 2022 MM 3614AO, Gustavo Andres Lopez Acevedo.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your name, sir?
Demetrio Garcia. Demetrio Garcia.
Demetrio Garcia. Garcia.
All right, Mr. Garcia, you're here today because you were arrested on a charge of open container. I have reviewed the charging affidavit. It does appear to be sufficient probable cause. Is there an offer for this case?
There was an offer, Your Honor, of a withhold of adjudication credit time served.
All right, Mr. Garcia, if you want to enter a plea on this case today, it would be a withhold of adjudication and just time served in court costs and a filing reimbursement. Or no, that would be full court costs. If you want to resolve this case today.
No me opongo.
No contest.
All right. Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol today?
No, señor. No, sir.
No, sir. No, sir.
Have you suffered from or been treated for any mental illness in the past?
No.
No.
You understand that you're going to give up certain rights by entering your plea of no contest. You have the right to proceed to trial. You have the right to question any witnesses the state would bring to testify against you. You have the right to require the state to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt. You have the right to bring any witnesses that you may wish to bring to testify to your defense. Finally, give up the right to testify. So you understand that none of those things will be happening or giving up those rights.
Sí.
Yes.
All right, finally, the maximum in this charge is up to 60 days in jail and up to a $500 fine. That's not going to happen, but that's the maximum sentence. And that the entry of your plea could be used against you in any deportation proceeding if you're not a citizen. All right, I do find sufficient factual basis. I'll withhold adjudication, sentence to time served, I'll impose court costs and a $50 cost of prosecution. That's a total of $273, and I'll give you 24 months to get that paid. And you'll be released as to this case. I'm just gonna leave that where it is.
No me opongo.
Yep, you're all set.
Está listo ya. Eso es todo.
And that was 2022 MO 663AO.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you. Is that it for the interpreter cases? One more. You. All right, your name?
Osmar Amaya.
Osmar Amaya.
Mr. Maya, you're here today because you're arrested on a charge of no valid driver's license. I've read the charging affidavit. You find that there's been a ticket and there is sufficient probable cause. What's being held? Is there an offer in that? I guess he's got a DUI anyway, so.
With regard to this case, Your Honor.
Do we not have the DUI, or was that already been dealt with?
That's
He has a private attorney, I believe, Your Honor.
Do you know if they're coming? That's one of that's gonna get me in trouble. This, the DUI case, that he's got a detainer. He said he has a private lawyer.
Ryan. Hearing us?
He's probably gonna show up after we're already done. 2022 CT 2615AO.
Your Honor, can you also give the case number for the no valid, the present case?
Sure. It's 2022 CT 2928AO.
Thank you.
So that is the DUI has been added on for us today, or no? Don't see anything in here, and I didn't have any paper. so. I also have bond amount of $100 on the no valid driver's license, and I'll just leave the other case in the situation that it's in.
So no action?
And no action on both, that and no valid. Okay. Did you want a public defender appointed on your no valid charge, sir? I know you have a private lawyer already on your DUI. Did you want a public defender on this case, or are you going to hire the private lawyer?
Sí, sí. Sí, lo voy a visitar el abogado que tengo.
I will hire the attorney that I have.
Okay, all right, then we'll just leave it at that, as you can hire him. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. And
Is that the last case for the
I believe
interpreter?
that is. And did you get that?
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, take care.
I got him. Thank you. Have a
Okay, your name, sir?
LeBron Davis.
All right, Mr. Davis.
Your Honor, this is an arraignment. Mr. Davis was here on a driving while license suspended. The state's offers an adjudication of guilt, credit time served, and court costs. And Mr. Davis would like to accept and enter a plea of no.
All right, Mr. Davis, is that correct? You want to enter a plea of no contest to this charge?
Yes, sir.
Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol today?
No, sir.
Have you suffered from or been treated for any mental illness in the past?
No, sir.
You understand the rights on the plea form and you signed that and you're giving up those rights?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about those rights?
No, sir.
Do you understand that this is punishable by up to, looks like you have a prior, up to 1 year in the county jail, up to a $1,000 fine, and that the entry of your plea would result in deportation if you're not a citizen?
Yes, sir.
All right. I do find sufficient factual basis. I will adjudge you guilty. The only other thing is if you have 2 prior driving while suspended or qualifying offenses within the last 5 years, this could qualify you as an habitual traffic offender. Do you understand that? I don't have a driving record, so I can't look at it to tell you for sure.
Yes.
You understand, though? All right. I will adjudge you guilty of the charge of driving while license suspended. To be sentenced to 51 days in the Orange County Jail with 51 days credit for the time you previously served. I'll impose court costs and a $50 cost of prosecution. It should be a total of $306, and I will give you 24 months to pay that off. Okay? And you'll be released as to this case. All righty?
Your Honor?
Yes.
Cole is medical.
All right, then what I'll do is, I don't have him. Is that one of your cases or no?
No, Your Honor, I just ask that you appoint.
All right, I'll appoint a public defender. We'll set that for pretrial. I'll enter a plea of not guilty form, set it for pretrial in Division 85.
June 27th at 9 o'clock in courtroom 4A.
Okay. Next, come forward, sir. Your name, sir?
Kyle Hahn.
All righty. You're here for arraignment on your resisting arrest or merchandise recovery?
Yes, Your Honor, I believe he has 2 cases. We're gonna see him on today for arraignment.
Okay, yeah, I have one as Kyle Hahn and one as Kyle Wachten Hahn.
Yes, Your
And
Honor.
that's a petty theft, yeah, I have both.
For 2022 MM 219 8W, the offer from the state is an adjudication of guilt, credit time served, and no return to 624 Dillard Street. Mr. Hahn would like to accept and enter a plea of no contest. And in 2022 MM 216 AW, the offer is an adjudication of guilt, credit time served, no return to 3343 Daniels Road. And Mr. Hahn would like to accept and enter a plea of no contest.
All right, Mr. Hahn, you wish to enter those pleas of no contest, is that right?
Yes, sir, Your Honor.
Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol today?
No, sir.
Have you suffered from or been treated for any mental illness in the past?
No, sir.
This plea form I've been handing looks like has your signature. Do you read that, understand the rights, and then sign it?
Yes, sir.
Any questions about the rights on this form?
No, sir.
You understand that both of these are punishable by up to a year in the county jail, up to a $1,000 fine, and that the entry of your pleas would result in deportation if you're not a citizen.
Yes, sir.
Our counsel stipulates sufficient factual basis could be established on both.
Yes, Your Honor.
Based upon that stipulation, Mr. Hahn, I will accept your plea as to 2022 MM216AW, I will adjudge you guilty of the charge of petty theft of over $100. You'll be sentenced to 40 days in the Orange County Jail with 40 days credit for time served. I'm going to impose court costs and a $50 cost of prosecution, and you'll have 24 months to get that paid to the clerk. You're also not to return to 3543 Daniels Road. Is that a store? What is that?
Target.
To Target at that for a period of 1 year. If you do return to that, the court's made aware of that, you are subject to contempt citation, which could result in a sentence of up to 180 days in the county jail. As to 2022 MM219AW, I will accept your plea of no contest. Will adjudge you guilty of the charge of resisting merchandise recovery. You'll be sentenced to 40 days in the Orange County Jail with 40 days credit for time served. I'll impose court costs and a $50 cost of prosecution. That needs to be paid within the next 24 months. And you're also not to return to is Walmart, is that Dillard Street?
It's a Key Foods on Dillard Street. Your
Okay,
Honor.
you're not to return to that place of business at 624 Dillard Street for a period of 1 year with the same possible sanctions of a contempt. Those sentences will run concurrent with one another. And you'll be released as to those cases.
You too.
Your name?
Toya Solomon.
Member Solomon, you're here for arraignment on a trespass on property other than structure or conveyance. Counsel?
Yes, Your Honor, the offer is an adjudication of guilt, credit time served, no return to 4055 Covington Street, and there's also a cost of investigation in the amount of $87.42 to the Orlando Police Department. Ms. Solomon would like to accept the state's offer and enter a plea of no contest.
All right, Ms. Solomon, is that correct? You wish to enter a plea of no contest?
Yes, sir.
Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol today?
No.
Have you suffered from or been treated for any mental illness in the past?
Yes.
Did you take any medication for that?
Yes.
You do understand what's happening here today and what this charge is about?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now you do have a plea form. Did you read over that, understand the rights, and sign it?
Yes.
Any questions about the rights on that form?
No.
You understand that this is punishable by up to up to a year in the county jail, up to a $1,000 fine, and that the entry of your plea would result in deportation if you're not a citizen.
Yes.
All right, stipulate sufficient factual basis could be established, counsel.
Yes, Your Honor.
Based upon that stipulation, Ms. Solomon, I will accept your plea. I will judge you guilty of the charge of trespass on property other than structure or conveyance. You're sentenced to 43 days in the Orange County Jail. You do have 43 days credit for the time you previously served. We'll impose court costs and a $50 cost of prosecution. It's going to be a total of $273, and I'll give you 24 months to pay that. Finally, I'm going to order that you not return. Oh, excuse me, there was also a cost investigation of $87.42 to OPD. That'll be included in that court cost. You're also not to return to 40055 Covington Street. If you do return there within the next year, and the court's made aware of it, you are subject to contempt citation, which could result in up to 180 days in the Orange County Jail. You'll be released as to this case. All right, your name, sir?
Louis Woodson.
All right, Mr. Woodson, you're here today for arraignment on a battery charge.
And we're going to enter a plea of not guilty, Your Honor.
I'll accept your plea of not guilty, and we'll set this for pretrial in Division 81.
It'll be June 30th at 9 o'clock in Portland 4E.
Thank you, sir. All righty. Your name, ma'am? Hello, and your name?
My name is Wilina Chukes, sir.
All right, Ms. Chooks, you're here today because you're arrested on a battery charge. I have read the charging affidavit, and I do find that there is sufficient probable cause. Now, it looks like in reading this that this happened where you were living with your roommate, Mr. Reed. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, do you have anywhere else to go other than that Cozart Street address if I give you a bond? Because if he's there, you can't go where he's at for right now. So do you have a friend or a relative or something else where you could potentially go and stay?
Yes, sir. Sir, Yes, I can go to my daughter's house.
Okay?
I can go to my daughter's house. But sir, I know I have a bond, but I don't have any money right now to get out. Is there any way I can get out? Because I have my clothes, I have my dog, I don't have anything. I don't have no shoes on or nothing. And I get a check every month. That's all I get, a check once a month. But I'm guaranteed I would not go back there and bother him. And I would be on time on court. If there any way else that you can let me go home, I promise you, I won't cause any more trouble. I haven't been in trouble over 4 years. And I try to stay out of trouble because I'm tired of being in the system.
I hear you.
I'm,
She doesn't qualify for anything, does she?
please.
No, Your Honor.
No? All right, I'll set bond amount of $250. No return to 1283
And the
Cozart.
bond, excuse me, I'm sorry to cut you off. The bond went up, it was 500.
Right. It's lower than that, 250.
Okay, it's
Okay.
250, so how much is that, sir?
Well, you can a cash bond to 250, and then you don't have, then you get all that money back when the case is over
don't
with, or
have
you go
that.
through a bondsman. Are you not to return to 1283 Cozart Street, except for one time you can go with law enforcement to pick up your stuff, pick up your clothing and things like that. You're not to have any contact with John Reed, none contact whatsoever. And no drugs, no weapons, no alcohol, no firearms. Okay? And I'll appoint a public defender to represent you. All righty, good luck.
Your Honor, Hunter refused.
What was it?
Hunter is a refusal.
Okay. All right, I did review the charging affidavit. I'll set bond on the petty theft case in the amount of $250. And he was out on bond in 2022 CF 5605AO, revoke bond, no bonds. Appoint a public defender in the new case.
Your Honor, can I ask for a no return?
No return.
Okay, Miller is medical also.
He's got a couple, doesn't he?
He's ICP. I will waive the appearance, Your Honor. There's competent issues.
Yeah, he's got a couple too. As to 2021 MM3123, actually, that was just an arrest warrant, wasn't it? Yeah. He was arrested for failure to appear, $2,000. And in the other case, it's 5021, also failure to appear. Or is that the same one? I clicked on the same one twice. Looks like both of them are failure to appear, $2,000. Stay the bond same.
Your Honor, as they're both trespasses, can I have a no return?
Yep, no return. Okay. Your name, ma'am?
Mary Ellen Schraga.
Ma'am, you're here today because you're arrested on the charge of petty theft.
Yes, sir.
It looks like, I guess you failed to appear.
It was
Yeah.
the, sorry.
And bond set in the amount of $500.
Your Honor, there is an offer of an adjudication of guilt, credit time served, no return to 846 South Kirkman Road. Additionally, there's a cost of registration of $56 to the Orlando Police Department. And she would like to accept and enter a plea of no contest.
Okay, so ma'am, you wish to enter plea no contest to that petty theft charge?
Yes, sir.
All right, are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol?
No, sir.
Have you suffered from or been treated for any mental illness in the past?
No, sir.
That plea form you just signed, you understood the rights on that before you signed it? And you're giving up those rights?
Yes, sir.
Here, all right. You have any questions about the rights?
No.
All right, you understand that This is punishable by up to 60 days in jail, up to a $500 fine, and that the entry of your plea would result in deportation if you're not a citizen.
Yes.
All right, we'll accept your plea of no contest. I'll judge you guilty, be sentenced to time served. Impose court costs, a $50 cost of prosecution to the state, and a $56 cost investigation to OPD. It's going to be about $335, maybe $340. I'll have you pay that within 24 months.
Okay, that's not a problem.
And then finally, you're not to return to 846 South Kirkman and the business there. If you do return there within the period of a year, and the court's made aware of that, you are subject to a contempt citation, which could result in an Orange County jail sentence of up to 180 days.
I understand.
All righty, you're all set.
I think she said they need fingerprints.
He's got a flag for you.
It's right here.
Prince.
2 days.
Your name, sir?
Joshua Barnes.
All right, Mr. Barnes, you're here today because you arrested for a charge of, what was it? No, trespass.
And, Your Honor, the offer is a withhold of adjudication credit time served and court costs from the state. Mr. Barnes would like to accept and enter a plea of no contest.
All right, Mr. Barnes, you want to enter a plea of no contest? Is that right?
Yes.
All right, are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol today?
Oh,
Have you suffered from or been treated for any mental illness in the past?
no.
All right, the plea form right there, you understood the rights on that and signed it? Yes?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about the rights on the form?
No.
Understand this is punishable by up to 60 days in jail, up to a $500 fine, and that the entry of your plea would result in deportation if you're not a citizen.
Yes.
If you find sufficient factual basis, I'll judge you, withhold adjudication, sentence to time served. There'll be imposed court costs and a $50 cost of prosecution to the state. And I'll give you 24 months to pay that. And then finally, you're not to return to the parking garage at 399 Alexander Place for a period of 1 year. Okay?
Yes. Yes.
Thank you. You're all set. You'll be released as to that case.
Walter.
Your name, sir?
Walter.
Last name?
Elam.
All right, Mr. Elam, you're here today because you were arrested on a charge of open container. I have reviewed the charging affidavit and there is sufficient probable cause.
The offer is a withhold credit time served and court costs. Your Honor, Mr. Elam would like to accept and enter a plea of no contest.
Is that correct, Mr. Elam? You want to enter a plea of no contest to the charge and resolve it?
Yes.
All right, are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol today? No. Have you suffered from or been treated for any mental illness in the past?
Yes.
There's a plea form there. Do you understand the rights on that form and then sign it on the bottom?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about the rights on that form?
No.
All right, you understand that this is punishable by up to 60 days in jail, up to a $500 fine, and that the entry of your plea would result in deportation if you're not a citizen?
If I'm not a citizen?
Yeah, if you're not. I expect you are, but I have to tell everybody that. Okay? All right, I do find sufficient factual basis. I will withhold adjudication, sentence to time served. The court costs and a $50 cost of prosecution is going to be a total of $273, and I'll give you 24 months to pay that. Okay?
270.
Yeah. All right, good luck, sir. You'll be released as to this case.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Your name, ma'am?
Rochelle Gordon.
Oh, I'm sorry, sir. You are here today because you were arrested on charge of open container. I have reviewed the charging affidavit, and it does, there is sufficient probable cause.
And the offer from the state is a withhold of adjudication credit time served and court costs. Mr. Gordon would like to accept and enter a plea of no contest.
All right, Ms. Gordon, is that right? You want to enter a plea of no contest?
Yes, sir.
Okay, are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol today?
No, sir.
Have you suffered from or been treated for any mental illness in the past? All right, there's a plea form there. You understood the rights on that, and they're going to sign that. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions about the rights on the form?
No, sir.
You understand this is punishable by up to 60 days in jail, up to a $500 fine, and that the entry of your plea could result in deportation if you're not a citizen. You understand?
Yes, sir.
All right, I do find sufficient factual basis. I'll withhold adjudication, impose court costs, and a $50 cost of prosecution, which I'll give you 24 months to pay that, and we'll sentence you to time served, and you'll be released as to this case.
Thank you, sir.
All righty, good luck. Your name, ma'am?
Erica Jean Hornsby.
All right, Ms. Hornsby, you're here today because you were arrested on charge of open container. I have reviewed the charging affidavit, and I do find that there's sufficient probable cause.
Your Honor, the offer from the state is a withhold of adjudication, credit time served, and court costs. Ms. Hornsby would like to accept and enter a plea of no contest.
All right, ma'am, is that right? You wish to enter a plea of no contest to the charge?
Oh, yes, ma'am. Oh, yes, sir.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol today?
No.
Have you suffered from or been treated for any mental illness in the past?
No.
All right. In this plea form has your signature. You understood the rights and then you signed it? On here?
Okay.
You have any questions about the rights on there?
No.
Are you understand that this is punishable by up to 60 days in jail, up to a $500 fine, and that the entry of your plea could result in deportation if you're not a citizen? I expect you are, but I have to tell you that.
Okay.
All right, I do find sufficient factual basis. I'll withhold adjudication. You'll be sentenced to the time you've served in the Orange County Jail. I'll impose court costs and a $50 cost of prosecution. It's a total of $273, and I'll give you 24 months that you can get that paid within, okay? All righty, you're all set.
Your Honor, Seda was a bond.
Okay. All right. Your name, ma'am?
Christina Halen.
A couple of things here today. First of all, is a reckless driving charge. You're arrested on a failure to appear warrant, and the bond is set on that at $5,000. And second of all, you had a failure to appear. For a driving while license suspended, and you failed to appear, looks like, for arraignment on that as well. And bond is ROR on that, so you don't have to, there's no bond on that. You can just get released, okay? Just want a public defender appointed to represent you?
Yes, please.
All right, I'll appoint a public defender to represent on both charges.
Your Honor, Marrero Torres is behavior.
Your Honor, there was an offer to resolve the case. Can we reset for tomorrow?
Yeah, sure. Reset them for tomorrow.
Ms. Bach was ROR. Olivia is bonded. Torsen is medical.
No.
Oh, yeah, so that was a crash. All right, I will appoint a public defender in her cases, and we'll go ahead and
I will waive the appearance, Your Honor.
I'll stay the bonds as they were set. DOI, refusal to submit, $500. Driving license suspended, $500. DOI with damage, property damage or personal injury, $1,000. Simple DOI, $500.
Your Honor, can you give me the case number, please?
Yeah, they kind of rolled it up. So the first one, the refusal is 2022 CT 2942AO. And then 2943 is the driving while license suspended. And 2944 is the DUI with property damage or personal injury. And 2945 is the additional DUI.
Thank you.
Simple DUI, okay? And we'll stay the bonds on all of those.
What was the reason?
Medical. I think she said medical. I think there was a crash, so she might be in the hospital. Is she in the hospital? She's not in our medical, she's like out, yeah. She got transported. All right. It's like Waters.
Ms. Bach, was that Bob?
Yes, Bach was. Your name, sir?
Gavin Waters.
Mr. Waters, you're here, first of all, because you were arrested on charge of BUI, boating while under the influence. I have read the charging affidavit. I do find that there's sufficient probable cause. I will set bond on that amount of $500. You want a public defender appointed on that case? Are you going to hire somebody, or
I have a hired attorney, yes, sir.
have you retained them yet?
Yes, I retained them already, sir.
Because they haven't filed a notice yet.
He said he was gonna come see me this afternoon when I spoke.
Okay, all right. And then you were out on bond, or actually, looks like you were released on your own recognizance on a trafficking charge of meth, possession of ketamine, possession of cannabis, possession of cocaine, possession of alprazolam, possession tetrahydrocannabinoids, possession of hydrocodone, possession of lysergic acid, and I don't know what can't read what the last one says. That looks like that's from last year, State. What do you know on that? It's 2021 CF 6299 AO.
I'm confirming, Your Honor. Yes, he is set for pretrial 6/7, trial set for 6/20.
And is there a private attorney in that case?
I have it listed.
Yeah, it looks like Bob Bonaro.
It's the same attorney, sir.
Okay, I'm gonna revoke bond on that, no, set those on no bond. And then he'll be filing his notice, I guess, and come see you, okay? All right. Okay, your name, sir? Your name?
Joshua Franklin Best.
All right, Mr. Best, you're here today because you were arrested on a charge of driving while suspended as an habitual traffic offender. I do find that there is sufficient probable cause. Bond set in the amount of $2,500. I'm going to reduce that bond to $1,000. And is there out-of-county VOPs, or
Yeah, there's 3 of them.
we have those? Is there what are the bonds on those?
Well, 0.
What's that?
On view.
0, okay. So you also have 3 out-of-county violations of probation, and there's no bond on those. All right. And I'll appoint a public defender on the new case.
Your Honor, Callahan bonded.
All right. Your name, sir?
Billy Casey.
Mr. Kaysen, you're here today because you were arrested on a charge of grand theft, 3rd degree of a motor vehicle. I have read the charging affidavit. I do find sufficient probable cause. Bond set in the amount of $2,500. And I'll appoint a public defender to represent you.
Okay.
All ready? Your name?
Joel Castro Frias.
Okay, Mr. Castrofrias, you're here today because you're arrested on a charge of grand theft, 3rd degree, over $10,000 but less than $20,000. I have reviewed the charging affidavit. I do find sufficient probable cause on that, and we'll set bond or stay the bond at $2,500. I'll appoint a public defender to represent you on that case. If you wish, did you want a lawyer appointed?
Yes.
Okay. Want a public defender. And you're currently out on bond on possession of cocaine, possession of cannabis, possession of paraphernalia, possession of a concealed firearm out of Osceola County. I revoke that bond and set no bond.
Both cases here?
Is there 2? I just see one case, 2022 CF 1048. Is there another case number?
Yeah, 22 CF 1082.
1082. What are the counts on that one?
possession of weapon, firearm by convicted felon, another charge of that, and that's it.
Okay, all right. Well, we only had one case number, right? Yeah. Okay. So the other one was 1082, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, it's 2022 CF 1082. Osceola also?
Yes.
Yeah, also revoke bonds on that. Okay, and appoint a public defender on the, in our new case. Your name, sir? Who's this?
How's it going, sir? My name is Zakar Collier.
Mr. Collier, hang on just a second. Got someone here now, we have to find out who they are. All right, Mr. Collier, here today because you're arrested on charge of armed burglary of a dwelling, grand theft third degree, less or more than 750, less than 5,000, and grand theft third degree of a firearm. Make sure this was based on an arrest warrant, probable cause warrant that was signed by the judge. Bond set amount of $15,000 on the armed burglary, $100 on the grand theft, and $100 on the grand theft third degree of a firearm.
Your Honor?
Yep.
Just for the record, count 1, armed burglary of a dwelling with a firearm. That is actually a first-degree felony that is punishable by life.
Yeah, I saw that. For whatever reason, that's what the signing judge did, so I'm gonna stay at 15,000. I'll appoint a public defender to represent you as well.
Your Honor, I'd also ask for no contact, no return.
And no contact with the alleged victim, and no return to, that's in here, it doesn't have.
11516 Cameron Street.
Right, no return to that address. 11516 Cameron Street, and no contact with Marissa Herrera. Okay, all right, I appoint a public defender.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Charles Edward Conklin, Jr.
All right, Mr. Conklin, you're here for a couple of things. Fall in 2022 CF 6204, an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. I have read the charging affidavit, and I do find that there's sufficient probable cause. Bond is set in the amount of $3,500 on that one. You're not to have any contact with the security officer, Ronald Ducrepin, Ducrepin, and no return to 8900 Turkey Lake Road as a condition of bond, and not to possess any guns or weapons. And then as to 2022 CF 5375, charges criminal mischief. I do find sufficient probable cause, set bond on that in the amount of $1,000, and again, no return to Turkey Lake Road. Part of condition that bond, and I'll appoint a public defender to represent you on both cases. Your name, ma'am?
Desiree Fullwood.
All right, Ms. Fullwood, you're here today because you're arrested on a charge of improper exhibition of a weapon or firearm and an aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. I have reviewed the charging affidavit, and I do find that there's sufficient probable cause on those charges. Bond set in the amount of $150 on the improper exhibition. The 605 Trilago Way, you don't live there, right?
No,
That's where your ex-boyfriend or someone that lived there, right?
that's where my boyfriend, my child's father live.
Okay. So you have no reason to have to go back there.
My child fathers live there, so we visit him.
Well, but you won't be able to do that for the time being. You can't
Understand.
go back to that address, okay? And you're not to have any contact with him either. If there's some child issues that need to be taken care of, then somebody else needs to contact him, a family member or something. So as to the aggravated assault, set bond the amount of $2,500. No return to 605 Trilago Way. no contact with, and I think this is the one that doesn't actually.
Excuse me. I don't mean to cut you off, but he has my daughter, and I'm the legal authority over her, so I need to get her. Okay. Okay.
Is there any DCF involved? Yes, they were. All right, so no return to that address, no contact with him. If there's any issues with that, you're gonna have to go through a third party and only deal with the child custody issues or taking care of the child. I don't have a name.
No, I
I
don't
think
see
they just
it either.
V1'd it. But again, you can, if you do need to go back to Chalago Way, if you have anything that personal items, you can go there with law enforcement. Now, personal item is not your child. All right, DCF is involved, so you'll also be required to abide by any plan that's put in place by DCF as part of your bond. No guns, no weapons, no drugs or alcohol use or possession. And do we have a name yet? No?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, no contact with the victim in the case. All right, but again, DCF has been made a part of it, so you need to contact them. They may be able to figure that out for you, okay?
And how do I?
I will appoint a public defender to represent you.
Your Honor, just for my clarification, so are you doing no contact with the victim and the boyfriend?
Yes.
Okay.
There's V1 and well, I mean, they listed them as both, but yeah.
I think
Okay.
Saul White is listed as other one.
That's actually my daughter.
Oh.
They lied on the affidavit sheet, yeah.
Okay. Well, no, 01 was carrying Bennett's young child as they walked down the stairs, so. But for both of those folks, because that's really what spurred the whole thing allegedly. Okay, and again, I appoint a public defender on that charge. Your name, sir?
Jude Carthley Mercano.
Mr. Mercado, you're here for a number of things. First of all, in 2022 CF 6201AO, 2 counts, tampering with physical evidence and possession of drug paraphernalia. I've read the charging affidavits as to that, and I do find that there's sufficient probable cause. Bond set amount of $1,000 for the tampering with physical evidence. I'll stay that, and I will reduce the bond on the drug paraphernalia to $100 and appoint a public defender as to that case.
Excuse me, sir. I had a RV parked up in a parking lot.
Don't talk about the facts of the case.
Okay, none of my phones or bank cards or funds, cash that I had on me was turned in. I have no contact with the outside world to no one. I know these smartphones make us dumb. I don't know any in my head. I don't have my devices.
Here's what's going to happen. You're going to get a lawyer appointed, and your lawyer will have to try to make those connections for you. As the 2022 CF 6207 AO, in that case, there are
Many.
40.
It was a calling for a trespass.
Looks like it's
49.
a total of 49 counts. All right, I have reviewed the charging affidavit. I do find sufficient probable cause. Count 1, possession of methamphetamine, $1,000 bond. Count 2, possession of a firearm by convicted felon, $4,000 bond. Possession of ammunition by a convicted felon. Count 3, reduce that to $1,000. Possession of cannabis, 20 grams or less, $100, reduced. Possession of drug paraphernalia, reduced to $100. And then the additional possession of ammunition by convicted felon, reduce those all to $500. That would be count 8, I think, count 6 through count 49. And appoint a public defender to represent him on all those cases.
Your Honor, can I ask for no contact with the co-defendant?
Okay, and the co-defendant's name is?
Samantha, oh, sorry, Shamare Thomas.
Yeah, no contact with co-defendant Shamari Thomas.
For all of those.
And public defender appointed on all the cases, both cases.
I don't know, but I told you, we just read it. I have it. The attorney, they can reprint it for you.
Another one, is there?
You're gonna have to call and speak to the attorney. I told you.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that's it. All right, your name, ma'am?
Tiffany Nicole Morris.
Ms. Morris, you're here today because you're arrested on a charge of possession of a controlled substance with a weapon. I have reviewed the charging affidavit, and I do find that there is sufficient probable cause. Bond is set. Well, it was no bond. Hang on just a second. Let me see. Step on the amount of $5,000. No guns, no weapons, no drugs, no alcohol, no possession or use of any of those things. And I'll appoint a public defender to represent you.
You gotta pull your mask up. It's 10%.
Your and I apologize. Can you give me the case number?
Sure. It is 2022 CF 6227 AO.
Thank you.
No, you don't qualify.
Also, Ms. Morris, also no contact with co-defendant Travis Morris as well. No, just no contact. Okay, your name, sir?
Travis Morris.
Mr. Morris, you're here today because you're arrested on several charges. I have reviewed the charging affidavit and I do find that there's sufficient probable cause. It's the trafficking in amphetamines less than or more than 14 grams, less than 28. The bond is set at $50,000. Possession of cocaine, $150. Possession of cannabis, simple possession, $100, and resisting officer without violence, $100. I will appoint a public defender to represent you, and you're not to possess any drugs or alcohol, no guns or weapons if you do bond out, and also you're not to have any contact with Tiffany Morris, co-defendant. And I will appoint a public defender to represent you.
Yes, sir. Yes, Your Honor. I need a little help with this.
I'm sorry?
Yeah, I need a little help with this. I would like a public defender.
Yep, I'll appoint a public defender. Someone will be in contact with you. Okay?
That's the attorney's
Your
name.
Honor, I have a question.
Okay.
Is there anything holding me from bonding out, sir?
Well, your case is a potential RICO case, so there may be some question as to the source of the bond, but there is bond set on everything.
Okay. So it's okay until?
Right. Yeah, unless the state files something to try to change that. Right now, there's bonds.
Because I was trying to pose a bond earlier, but they said I couldn't because I guess I had to come here first. Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Oliver is mental health.
All right, I figured that was gonna happen. Let's see, in 2022 CF 6196AO, battery, one prior, and two battery on law enforcement officer, do you find sufficient probable cause? Point public defender to represent Mr. Oliver.
No.
And stay the bonds as they were 2,500, count 500, or 150 and 150. And then in the second case, 2022 CF 6197AO is an additional count of battery on a law enforcement officer. I did find sufficient probable cause on that, and bond was set in the amount of $2,500 on that, and point a public defender to represent them as well on that one.
There's a third case, Your Honor.
It was another battery in a Leo, so it's two cases. One has two counts of battery in a Leo, and the third one was a separate officer.
No, there's also an aggravated assault, 6198.
No, I don't have that. All right. I'll stay the bond on that, and point a public defender on that one as well. I didn't see that one.
For that one, Your Honor, can I ask for a no contact, no return?
Yeah, no contact, no return. No contact with the alleged victims in any of the cases. Your name, sir?
Joshua Pieper.
Pieper, let's see, you're here for a couple of things. First of all, 2021 CF 12288AO. It's an arrest warrant for failing to appear. And bond is set in the amount of $2,000 in that case. Do they only file on one count? I guess. Yeah, I guess. All right. So bond set in the amount of $2,000 on that case. In 2021 CF 12288. Failure to appear, $2,000 in that case. And then last but not least,
Wait a minute, Your Honor, the 21 CF 12288 is the $2,000
what was,
FTA. And the 21 MM 8114, FTA is 500.
okay, right you are. So 8114 is 500. And then the 12288 is 2,000. And then the last one is 1365. And that's 500 as well. All righty, thank you.
Your Honor, Richardson is mental health.
I did review the charging affidavit. Do find sufficient probable cause. Pay the bonds as currently tampering with physical evidence, $1,000. Open container, $250. Resisting an officer without violence, $500. Point a public defender to represent him on that case. And defendant is currently out on bond in 2021 CF 11712AO. Revoke the bond, no bond. Well, two counts, but yeah, I guess it doesn't matter. Your name, sir? First name?
Elliot.
All right, Mr. Rosado, you're here today because you were arrested on a charge of possession of fentanyl, possession of cocaine, and possession of drug paraphernalia. I do find that there is sufficient probable cause. Bond on the possession of fentanyl is $2,000, possession of cocaine $150, and the possession of drug paraphernalia $100. I'll appoint a public defender to represent you on that charge. You're also currently out on bond in 2022 CF 3885AO for possession of fentanyl and possession of drug paraphernalia. I will revoke those bonds, and you'll be held no bond on those
And
previous charges.
Your Honor, I would argue that you not revoke the out on bond. I believe he was arrested back in April and the state has not filed.
Okay.
That is correct, Your Honor. However, it's also known that FDLE does take more than 30 days in order to come back with a positive result.
So if you are inclined to revoke, Your Honor, I'd ask that you revoke in double as opposed to holding him in no bond.
Yeah, okay, I'll do that. I'll revoke him. We'll double that. It'll be 3,000. So I guess it was 100. It was probably 1,500. So just make it 2,000 and 1,000. Fair enough. All right, your name, ma'am?
Smith.
Okay, Miss Smith. You're here, first of all, because you were arrested on a probable cause warrant for the charge of aggravated battery on a pregnant person. Let's see. Now, the 4529 Heritage Oaks Drive address, do you live at that address?
No.
Okay, so you don't need to go back there?
I just got I just get mail and stuff there.
So you have another place to stay?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. And you have no reason to have contact with, well, I guess you guys have a child together, with Shamora Baker? That's you, hold on. Yeah. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay. She's not here. I don't know who these folks are for. All right, I'll set bond in the amount of $1,000. No return to 4529 Heritage Oaks Drive. You can go back there one time with law enforcement if you have some stuff there you need to pick up, okay?
I got important, my car there, when they arrested me, my car was.
Okay, you can do that. Just make sure you go with law enforcement. So, and because you're not to have any contact with your ex-girlfriend, what's her name? Miss Baker, okay? SHOMARAH Baker, Shamora Baker, okay? So no contact. If you guys have child custody issues, or just, then you need to go through a third party. If DCF has gotten involved, then you need to follow whatever their agreement is. If they aren't involved, then you're going to have to go through. Looks like DCF was notified, but you will have to go through a third party, okay? Because you're not to have any contact with her. No guns, no drugs, no weapons, no alcohol, okay?
Your Honor, what's the bond on the aggravated battery on a pregnant person?
1,000.
Okay.
And was she out on something else? It looks like there was possession too. All right, as to the possession of cannabis, bond will be set in the amount of $1,000. I'll appoint a public defender on that. What is she out on bond?
Yes, Your Honor, and the out on bond, she was arrested back in March 30th of this year. The state has not made a filing decision to date, so I'd ask that you take no action.
All right, I'll just leave that one in place. And, all right.
Your Honor, Schwartz bonded.
All right. Your name, ma'am?
Hello.
Your name?
Oh, Shemray Thomas.
Ms. Thomas, you're here today for two things. You're arrested on a charge of tampering with physical evidence and possession of drug paraphernalia. I do find sufficient probable cause. Bond set of $1,000 for the tampering, and count 2 possession $500. Actually, I'm going to reduce the drug paraphernalia to $100.
I couldn't
And I'll
hear
appoint a public defender to represent you on those.
you. Okay.
And let's see. You're also here for in 2022 CF 6206AO. Possession of methamphetamine, possession of cannabis, less than 20 grams, and possession of drug paraphernalia there. As to the possession of methamphetamine, bond set amount of $1,000. Possession of cannabis, I'll reduce that to 100. And possession of drug paraphernalia, reduced to 100. And point a public defender to represent you on that as well. The public defender in both cases.
Your Honor, I asked for no contact with the co-defendant,
Yeah,
Jude
contact.
Marcano.
Yeah, no contact with, what was his name again?
Jude Marcano.
Right, Jude Mercado. Yeah, on this 100 and 100 on the second case. Your name, sir?
Good evening, Your Honor.
Good afternoon. Your name?
Oh, Alexander Torres Vargas.
All right, okay. We have Torres Vargas all run together, but it's Torres, correct?
Yeah.
All right, you're here today for 2 charges. Can't conceal firearm and resist an officer without violence. I've read the charging affidavit. I do find sufficient probable cause. Bond was stated at $1,000 on the carry and conceal firearm, $100 on the resisting without violence, and I will appoint a public defender to represent you.
It's just giving you information. That's the case number.
Your name, sir?
Jeremiah Townsend.
Mr. Townsend, you're here today because you're arrested on 2 charges: possession of cannabis with intent to sell or deliver with a weapon, and possession of cannabis, misdemeanor simple possession. I do find that there is sufficient probable cause.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
can you repeat that question?
Yeah. What was that?
Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, it wasn't a question. I was just letting you know that you were arrested on 2 charges: possession of cannabis with intent to sell and delivery with a weapon, and simple possession of cannabis. And I did review the charging affidavit, and I do find that there's sufficient probable cause.
Okay.
All right, bond as to the count 1 will be set at $15,000. The second count, $100, and I'll appoint a public defender to represent you.
Am I able to?
Yeah.
Oh,
It says you don't qualify.
Yep.
I'm sorry.
Unless
He didn't qualify because you guys couldn't reach his contact. It just says you called, but he couldn't be reached.
Is also a gun involved?
Just,
I just see no.
that why?
but Was there something else that?
could they retry? No.
He's already been interviewed,
Oh, okay.
so they won't.
Okay, not a problem. I just want to know. Your Honor, I would ask it, given he has no criminal history, that you do consider reducing the bond on count 1. He's a student. To $5,000, given he has never been in trouble, Your Honor, and he's 24 years old.
State would object, Your Honor. This is actually a first-degree felony based on the amount of cannabis, the intent to sell, and the weapon.
It doesn't, I mean, and also the arrest affidavit didn't indicate that he was a student. It says that he makes music beats and sells cryptocurrency.
Oh, I was looking at the sheet. Our first appearance sheet, Your Honor, when they collect his information.
Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it as was. Obviously, whoever the case gets assigned to, they could consider it. Your name, sir?
Jeremy Vargas.
Mr. Vargas, you're here for a couple of things. First of all, in 2022 CT 2946AO, no valid driver's license and attaching a tag not assigned. I do find sufficient probable cause. As to the no valid driver's license, I'll reduce that bond to $100. Attaching tag not assigned, it would be $100. Point of public defender to represent you in that. And then you've got 2022 CF 6205. And that would be count 1, trafficking in hydrocodone, Vicodin. 2, possession of a controlled substance. Count 3, possession of cannabis with intent to sell and deliver. Count 4, possession of drug paraphernalia. And count 5, fraudulently impersonating and knowing with intent unlawful possession of 4 or fewer identification cards. I do find sufficient probable cause on those. Bond on the hydrocodone charge count 1 was $500,000. Count 2 is $150,000. Count 3 $150,000. Count 4 $100,000. Count 5 $100,000. I will appoint a public defender to represent you on those charges as well. You are currently out on bond in 2022 CF 725AO, carry and conceal firearm and driving while suspended case in Osceola County. And I will revoke those bonds and set no bond on that. Osceola will be notified. And then we have also out on bond on 2022 CF 12542AO, and that's a trafficking, heroin, possession of cannabis with intent and possession of cannabis. Revoke those bonds and set no bond. I know that one might not be filed on, but I'm still going to do that because it's the same.
No, Your Honor, it's actually a 2018.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, it's 18. Okay.
I think
Oh,
trial
he just
is-
got. Okay,
I
I
had
looked at the wrong
pre-trial at 9 in the morning this morning, sir, in 6A downtown Orlando. But
Okay.
obviously I couldn't make it. I was here. I've
date.
been
And I'll appoint a public defender on the new cases and the Osceola cases. You may have a lawyer have to see Osceola about that. All right.
Because it
Yeah.
doesn't matter when
Yeah.
he fails to appear.
No bond. There was somebody here and now, I guess we must have done their case before because they were here and now they're gone.
Grant Evan Whipple.
All right, Mr. Whipple, you're here because you're arrested on a charge of carrying and concealed firearm by convicted felon.
I had a knife and the hilt was sticking out.
Stop.
Yeah, it was a machete. I do find sufficient probable cause. I'm going to reduce the bond to $1,000, and I'll appoint a public defender to represent you. Let's see, qualifies, he didn't. So, when I said Mr. Whipple, did that have a reaction for any of you, or are you all just way too young? Mr. Whipple used to be.
I don't know who that is. Do you?
No, it was in a commercial.
Telling your age, you're telling your age.
No, it's not, because she was so young that she kind of remembers it. That's right. Charmin.
See?
He was like an old guy who worked in a store or something, like balding old white guy who had glasses, and people would come up and they'd be, "Don't squeeze the Charmin," was their advertising.
Bond Court is a free service, but it takes several hours of my time every day. Less than 10% of Bond Court viewers hit the like button, and less than 1% leave a comment. If you want Bond Court to continue to be available on YouTube for free, then please hit the like button and leave a comment on all of my videos.
All right, hello everyone at the jail.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Can we have appearance for the state, please?
Yes, Your Honor. Matt Kazera for the state.
And for defense?
John Mancini on behalf of the Public Defender's Office, Your Honor.
And for pretrial diversion? Not pretrial diversion, pretrial release.
Crystal Osborne, pretrial release.
All right, Officer Osborne, thank you. All right, do we have any individuals who need the services of the interpreter today?
Not to my knowledge, Your Honor. I inquired and I saw no hands.
All right, so folks, we're here today for first appearances. We're only going to be talking about probable cause and terms of release, bond amounts, conditions of bond, and so forth. So we're not going to be talking about the facts of your case or any special circumstances. I'm going to provisionally appoint the Office of the Public Defender to represent everyone unless you already have private counsel. So when you come up to the microphone, please let me know if you have private counsel. Otherwise, the public defender will be provisionally appointed to represent you today. All right, so the first case is Esra Frank, and this is Broward County case.
Yes, Your Honor. She is present in person.
Okay, thank you. Morning, Ms. Frank. Or it's afternoon, I guess, excuse me. And this case is Broward County 2022 CF 4916, it looks like. Ms. Frank, you were arrested on an out-of-county warrant out of Broward County for the charges of robbery, grand theft, and battery. You have no bond on the robbery and on the grand theft charges. Looks like you have a release on your own recognizance with regard to the battery charge. You will be transported to Broward County, and you'll see a judge there to address release conditions. All right, the public defender here has been provisionally appointed to represent you in case there are any problems that you need assistance with before they transport you to Broward. Thank you, ma'am. All right, then we have Brenton Leslie Perkins, 2021 CF 3132.
Present and approaching, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Perkins. Sir, you were arrested on a violation of probation warrant. It's actually in my division, but the warrant was signed in my absence by Judge Karsten. There is no bond. The state has accused you of violating condition 3 of the order of probation by changing your residence without consent of the probation officer and violating conditions 9 of the order of probation by failing to report on 2 different dates as directed by the probation officer. Do we have the next court date for Mr. Perkins?
June 13th, 8:45.
All right, week after next is your hearing, June 13th, and that will be, I guess, for an arraignment. All right, so you're entitled to be represented by a lawyer. If you want to be represented by appointed counsel, you'll need to complete the required financial affidavit. The public defender is appointed only for today's purposes, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. And before I call the next case, that reminds me, anyone who wishes to have court-appointed counsel will need to complete the required financial affidavit. If you qualify and wish to have appointed counsel, the court will appoint counsel after the affidavit is completed and your eligibility is determined. So the provisional appointments today are for today only, and pending the affidavits. All right, the next case, Dwayne Lang, 2022 MM1204.
Present and approaching, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Lang. Sir, you were arrested on the charges of trespass into an occupied structure or conveyance and disorderly intoxication. There is probable cause. You have bonds of $500 and $150. You do qualify for direct pretrial release. So I'm going to reduce your bonds and order release on pretrial release conditions. All right, and there is no future court date in this case. It will be up to you to make sure the clerk of the court has your valid mailing address and that you monitor the court file and stay in touch with pretrial release. If you fail to appear at any future hearings, that would be a violation of pretrial release and your release would be revoked. Any questions?
No questions, Your Honor, but if I may be heard on an issue.
Okay, go ahead.
My client has informed me that he still has personal belongings at that hotel. May he be granted a one-time return by law enforcement to retrieve those belongings?
I don't know where they would be because he had only checked in for a night according to the report, but I have no objection to a one-time return with law enforcement. So what that means is you have to meet law enforcement away from the hotel and you go with law enforcement to the hotel. Do you understand? Okay.
And, Your Honor, given the circumstances of the arrest, I'd ask for no drugs, no alcohol as a special condition of PTR.
I'm not going to do that, Mr. Kazera. Yeah.
Thank you, Your Honor.
If he's using drugs, that is a new law offense and would be a violation, and I'm not real big on telling people they can't breathe. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, that would bring us to Juanita Hagan, 2022 CF 1540.
President approaching, Your Honor.
All right, good afternoon, ma'am. You were arrested on the charges of possession of a controlled substance, heroin, and possession and use of drug paraphernalia. There is probable cause for the arrest. You currently have bonds in the amount of $1,000 on the possession of controlled substance, $500 on the paraphernalia charge. You do qualify for direct pretrial release. So I am going to reduce your bond and grant direct pretrial release. You will be required to maintain contact with pretrial release so that you don't miss any future court dates. You need to make sure the clerk of the court has your valid address for mail purposes. All right, do you have any questions, ma'am?
No, thank you.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Kyle Smithers, case number 2022 CF 1541.
President approaching, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
All right, good afternoon, Mr. Smithers. Sir, you were arrested on the charges of domestic battery by strangulation. It's listed as depriving the alleged victim of a means of protection by hindering communication, and also aggravated battery resulting in bodily harm. There is probable cause. All right, you do qualify for pretrial release. Do we have any witnesses here today on this case? Not for this case, all right. Mr. Smithers, where will you be residing if I order that you not return to the shared residence?
I'll be residing at my father's in Lady Lake.
Okay, And who has custody of your child?
We both have custody right now, but she's in the care of my baby mother.
And is that the alleged victim?
Yes.
All right. Who pays the rent at the residence where?
I pay all the bills, the rent, and all the income is from me.
Okay. So the alleged victim does not work outside the home?
No, she can't afford to live there.
Okay. Are you going to be willing to continue to pay the rent while the case is pending if I grant you a reasonable bond with pretrial release conditions?
Yes, I would. I just need because she has all my funds. My deposits go straight to her. She's in charge of all my funds. So I would need that back from her in order to continue paying for her.
Do you have a joint account or something?
I don't have a bank account. I use her account. I just have my checks get deposited into her account.
All right. So wouldn't that be within your control to have your paychecks go into a different account?
Yes, it's just the account itself. I have about $4,000 in that account that I would need it back.
All right, but the account is only in her name?
It is only in her name.
All right, so that's problematic. Okay, here's what I'm going to do, sir. There is probable cause, as I said. I'm going to grant you a low bond. I'm going to grant you a bond of $250 on counts 1 and 3, and ROR on count 2. You currently had 0 bond on 1 and 3 and $2,500 on count 2. So basically, you're going to have a total bond of $500 with pretrial release conditions, okay? And I'm doing that to reduce the amount of money out of your pocket, because this is going to obviously be an inconvenience for you. You may not have any contact with the alleged victim, except you may have a non-hostile contact through third parties with regard to arranging to see your child. You must maintain a separate residence. I will allow you to return one time with law enforcement to obtain personal belongings from the shared home. And I'm not going to impose any financial obligations on you. Under the circumstances, I'm going to rely on your good faith with regard to payment of the expenses we discussed before, and it will be up to you to decide how to handle direct deposits and so forth. Okay, you may not possess any weapons or firearms as a condition of your bond as well. All right, anything further, State?
Yes, Your Honor, just with regards to count 2, I don't know that it changes anything legally, but count 2 is listed here as Florida Statute 843.025, which is depriving an officer of a means of communication or protection. I think that was a scrivener's error, and the court correctly stated the actual thing that they meant, which was Florida Statute 914.22. That's tampering with a witness to hinder communication. I think that's what was intended. The court has already issued an ROR, so I don't know that there's a functional difference, but I don't believe there's probable cause for count 2 as listed, but it is as described.
Right, as described, there's absolutely probable cause. It's, but in any event, thank you, Mr. Casera. All right, anything else, defense?
Nothing from defense, Your Honor.
All right, do you have any questions, Mr. Smithers?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, sir. Sean Smith, 2022 MM1206.
He will be brought forward momentarily, Your Honor. He is in the back, and it'll take a moment.
Okay. Do we want to pass him and do him later?
They almost have him up, Your Honor.
Okay.
Good morning, Judge.
Good afternoon, Mr. Smith. How you doing? All right, sir. The state has arrested you in this case on the charge of criminal mischief between $200 and $1,000. I believe there's probable cause based on what I read. You have bond in the amount of $500. I'm going to stay the bond. You don't qualify for pretrial release in this case. Officer Osborne, what was the legal constraint on this?
With this being an added charge, he's currently in the jail on other charges, so he wouldn't qualify for pretrial release.
Does he still have a bond, or was bond revoked in the other case?
I'm not sure what was taken, what was ordered with the charges that he's currently in jail on.
Your Honor, his currently open case is 22 CF 1275. It's in front of Judge Karsten. So
Okay.
the state would ask that his bond be revoked on that case. I will note, Judge, that that case has not been filed, and we are nearing the 33-day on it.
Yeah, and it's a possession and a resisting without violence. And this new charge was something that occurred at the jail. It didn't involve, it was damage to property. So I'm not going to revoke the bond under the circumstances in 1275. If the state wants to file on that, they can. But I'll stay the bond at $500 in this new case, 1206. Conditions of bond are going to there's really no conditions. For the victim, because if he's released, the victim is the jail. What conditions would the state be requesting?
The state's not requesting any special conditions, Judge. Obviously, no return is probably exactly what he'd like.
Correct. All right. Mr. Mancini, anything else from you all?
Your Honor, we would request, if possible, based on the nature of the charges, would Your Honor consider ROR, since he is possibly being released this Sunday due to another motion?
I would rather him see the misdemeanor judge who's going to be presiding on the case.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Smith. Take care. All right. 2022 MM1205, Andy Sylvester.
President approaching, Your Honor.
All right. All right, good afternoon, Mr. Sylvester.
Good afternoon.
Sir, you were arrested for misdemeanor battery. I've reviewed the affidavit of arrest. There is probable cause. You qualify for pretrial release conditions with a bond. And I do have a victim or an alleged victim here in the courtroom, Sonata Jacques Paul.
Yes.
Is that close?
Yes.
Okay. Ma'am, raise your right hand to be sworn. Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, so we're being recorded by a digital court reporter. Would you state and spell your name for the court reporter?
First name Sunita, Sunatta, last name Jack Paul, Jagpal.
All right, Ms. Jackpal, tell me what you would like me to consider in determining release conditions.
Andy can be released under every circumstances. We do share a home together. The house is in both of our name, and we do have a business together, so that is the income. As far as him living with me, I don't want him living with me anymore. He can come to pick up his belongings if he has to figure out for now where he's gonna reside. Also, we have vehicles in our name. I will give him the vehicle, but if he needs to leave the vehicle at the home and take one of the vehicle because it's multiple vehicle, that is fine until he figure it out. But he can be released. He can pick up his belongings.
And if you have a business together, does that mean you're going to need contact for?
So as far as the business, I mostly run everything. I mostly deal with the customers. I mostly pay all the bills in the house. I mean, it's an income between the both of us, but I do everything. He can keep in contact with certain customers on his end, and he can report to whatever job that he has to do.
What kind of business is it?
It's a cleaning company and handyman service. So he does all the handyman. He does like the pool servicing, plumbing.
All right, so it sounds like you're going to need some communication, though, in order to be able to
Yeah, I could speak with him over the phone. That's not a problem, but I don't want to be around him.
Okay. So are you asking for no hostile contact or no hostile contact only by telephone? What are the parameters you're asking for?
Yeah, I guess, I don't know how it worked, but the only thing is that I don't want him living with me.
Okay. All right, State, do you have any questions for Ms. Jackpaul?
Ma'am, do you have any reason to see him, to be in the same room with him?
No.
Other than living together?
No.
Okay. So if you guys were to have a no contact, except he can call you on the phone, and you can have no hostile contact on the phone, would that cause any undue hardship for you or for him?
No.
Okay, all right. Is that what you're asking the court for, or the only thing that you care about is he can't come back to the house?
Yeah, that's what I'm asking the court for.
Okay, I'm sorry, I asked that really poorly, but what is it that you're asking the court for?
Just for him to take his belongings and just not to come back at the house.
Okay.
As far as us figuring out what we're going to do, because I say the house is in both of our name, I will follow up with court. I'll follow up with court, or I'll speak with him and see if we'll either sell the house or I'll give him money for the house, either one.
All right. I don't have any other questions. Thank you, Your Honor.
Mr. Mancini, do you have any questions?
Yes, Your Honor, just briefly. Ma'am, you did describe that there are joint vehicles in both of your names. Is that correct?
Yes.
Are those joint vehicles currently stored at your residence?
Yes, it is.
And you did say earlier that you would have no problem with him coming to get vehicles and switching out if necessary?
Yeah, that's fine. He could take his vehicle if he has a place to put it. If he doesn't have a place to put it, he can leave it until he figure out of having a place to put the vehicle.
So just to clarify, you have no problem with him returning to the property to get those vehicles, but you do not wish to have contact with him inside the house?
I'm sorry?
I said you have no issues with him returning to switch vehicles out or to get a vehicle, but you do not wish to have him inside the house?
That's correct.
No further questions, Your Honor.
Right, ma'am, I have some follow-up because we're using the term vehicles in the plural, meaning more than one.
Yeah, there is more than one.
How many are there?
So he has one that's, under his name only. That's, his slingshot. He has a slingshot, that's parked in the garage. He has, a Lexus. The Lexus is a show car, but that Lexus is under my name. So I'll have to sign the title over to him. He will have to register that vehicle into his name.
But that's his car, it's just.
It's his car, yeah, it's his car, but I registered the car, ever since I was living in New York. And I registered it here.
All right,
And the truck is his truck, that's the work truck that we work together. He has the work truck.
is that in both names or?
The work truck is his, he bought it cash, I registered the truck.
So it's in your name?
Yes,
But it's his.
yeah, so I'll sign the title over also, and he could register, the truck under his name.
All right, so the slingshot is his name
Is his,
only on
yeah.
the title? All right, and then what else do you have?
I have a Honda Accord, that's, my vehicle, but it's under both of our names. So I will call up the bank and see how I can get it done to get his name off the vehicle.
But you're the primary driver of that?
I'm the primary driver, and I'm the insured holder and registered holder also,
All right. And what else do you have?
and the house.
And the
And we have bank accounts, shared bank accounts.
Okay. All right, well, I can't do anything today about the house or the bank accounts, and you both have access to the bank accounts.
Yeah.
And so you're both gonna have to work together in good faith with regard to that. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. Mr. Sylvester, I'm going to set your bond at the relatively low amount of $500 with pretrial release conditions. Conditions are going to be that you must maintain a separate residence. You may return to the home one time with law enforcement to obtain your personal belongings. By that, I would mean personal belongings inside the house, such as clothing and personal grooming and toiletries, that sort of thing, and your work truck. If you're able to take the slingshot, because that is in your name, you can take that at that time as well. I will allow you to have non-hostile contact with Ms. Jagpal. I don't think there's any need for you to have any contact with her children, so I'll order no contact with her children. You may have non-hostile contact with Ms. Jagpal for the following purposes. One, with regard to the operation of your business, that may entail collecting accounts receivable, distributing profits, other income, and so forth. That would have to do with resolving issues regarding bank accounts, the house, and the titles to the Lexus, the work truck, and the Honda Accord. But again, hostile contact means that you can have contact in person or by telephone, but it cannot be aggressive or hostile in any manner. You may not return to Ms. Jagpal's residence without permission of the court in order to communicate. All The only time you can return to the house is one time with law enforcement to get your personal effects, as described before. May not possess any weapons or firearms. Anything else, State?
No, Your Honor, I think that's sufficient.
Mr. Mancini?
Nothing from defense, Your Honor.
All right, sir, do you have any questions, Mr. Sylvester?
No.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you, ma'am. All right, our next case would be Tyler Henry, 2022 CT 1722.
President approaching, Your Honor.
Good afternoon, Mr. Henry, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Thank you. Take care.
Mr. Henry, the state charged you with driving under the influence, resulting in property damage. There is probable cause, and I need to set bond conditions. What is the other legal constraint affecting Mr.?
Your Honor, I believe that he's on parole.
Okay, in Florida or another state?
Georgia.
Georgia, okay. And I think I was referring to you, sir, as Mr. Henry, but you're Henry Tyler is your name, correct?
Correct, sir.
All right, so I apologize, Mr. Tyler. So is there a hold for Mr. Tyler from Georgia, or based on this charge, or no?
Your Honor, I'm unaware if there is a hold in there for him. As of right now. Earlier when I checked, there wasn't.
Okay. All right, Mr. Tyler, I'm going to, you're entitled to a bond. I'm going to stay your bond at the amount of $2,000. Conditions of bond are going to be not to drive while drinking or consuming any other drugs or narcotics. I think otherwise we don't need to do any other conditions. Mr. Tyler, you were here in Osceola County, but the paperwork says that your permanent residence is in Augusta, Georgia. Is that true?
Yes, sir.
All right, so will you, if you post bond, will you be going back to Augusta?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And can you verify for Madam Clerk what your mailing address in Augusta is?
Yes, 1508 Wooten Road.
And that's 30904?
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Tyler. Is there anything else, Mr. Mancini, that we need to address?
I do not believe so, Your Honor.
Mr.
Your Honor, he does seem to wish to ask me a question if I may.
Okay, go ahead.
Your Honor, he wishes to address the court if he may.
All right. Go ahead, Mr. Tyler.
Yes, Your Honor. I can make that bond. The $2,000 is kind of steep, but anything under that $2,000 I think would be grateful and appreciated.
Well, part of the issue, Mr. Tyler, is because you live out of state, there's the higher risk of non-appearance. So that's why it's normally $1,000, and that's why it's doubled. Are you telling me you can't afford what a bail bond surety would charge for a $2,000 bond?
Well, he said that we would have to pay the whole $2,000.
Your Honor, I believe that is because he's not a Florida resident.
Okay. State, do you have any objection to my reducing the bond?
Your Honor, yes. I'll note two things. The first is that he is an out-of-state resident with what don't appear to be any substantial ties to the community. The second, We were just able to pull up some details on his parole in Georgia. It looks like he's on lifetime parole, beginning in 2007 for murder. So, state has some concerns. We'd ask that you stay, if not increase the bond.
Well, I mean, I think Georgia will know where he is, and the purpose of the bond is to make sure he appears. All right. Under the circumstances, I'm going to leave the 2,000 in place. I don't know if all bond sureties would require that, sir. If that's the case, you may want to post a cash bond directly to the court instead of to a surety. All right? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, Bernardino Velasquez, 2022 CT 1723.
Hello.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, sir.
Sir, you were arrested for driving while license suspended or revoked, and there is probable cause. You have a bond, in this case, in the amount of $500, but you are out on bond in case number 2022 CF 1436, sadly for the same charge. So that bond will be revoked based on the probable cause in this case. That is a violation of the conditions of the other bond. So you'll be held on zero bond in case number 2022 CF 1436. All right, is there anything further, Mr. Kuzera, I need to address? I don't think I need to place any conditions.
No, Judge, you're just staying the bond at $500?
Staying it at $500. The only condition I would impose would be a new law violation if you violated it, so there's no need to announce it. Anything, defense?
Nothing from defense, Your Honor.
Okay, thank you, sir. All right. Joalex Emmanuel Carreras Rivera, 2022 CF 1542.
Joe Alex Carreras, 0203-2004, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, sir. Tell me again how to pronounce your first name.
Joe Alex.
Joe Alex? Oh, Joe Alex, I'm sorry. I probably should have looked closer at your name. I might have figured that out. All right, this is a re-IA, but I don't think there is a count 8. I think the handwritten, I know, but I think the handwritten count 7 is probably what they're referring to as count 8. So I'm going to grant ROR as to the alleged count 8. Okay, because I'm not convinced there is a true count 8.
Yes, Your Honor.
But there is obviously probable cause.
I
yes.
apologize. I'm not sure what count 8 is.
So if you look, I had to look as well, Mr. Kuzera, but if you look at the page behind the, so on the first page, there are 5 charges, and then there are 2 handwritten in below it. And then at the top of the next page is a drug paraphernalia charge. But I believe that's probably the handwritten drug paraphernalia charge on the first page.
I see.
In an abundance of caution, I'm just granting ROR, and that will take care of it. As to count, the alleged count 8.
Perfect. Thank you, Judge.
Okay.
And then the bonds all stayed as we talked about.
You know, that was another judge, and I'm not going to intermeddle on that.
Perfect. Thank you, Your Honor.
That can be taken up with the division judge. Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, DeShannon Morris, this is Polk County cases 2021 CF 5469 and 4357.
Yes, Your Honor. He is present and approaching. He's in the back. It'll be 1 moment.
Okay. Good afternoon, Mr. Morris. I thought you were ready to go to Polk. Okay, well, it said on the paperwork I've got that you refused the other day, so that's why you're here today. So you're here today on these Polk County warrants in the two cases I just announced. You have bonds in these cases. Let me look here. Yeah, so these are both failure to appear warrants. In one of the cases, you have a $2,000 bond. That would be case number 5469. And in case number 4357, you have a $50,000 bond. If you don't post bond, you'll be transported to Polk County and you'll see a judge there. Okay? Anything else we need to do for Mr. Morris, Mr. Mancini?
I do not believe so, Your Honor.
Anything else, Mr. Kozera?
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, Mr. Morris. All right, that concludes today's IAs. We had a rather light docket.
Not a bad one.
Is there anyone else at the jail we need to address?
I do not believe so, Your Honor. You have a good afternoon. Thank
All
you.
right, you do the same, sir. All right, we will be in recess until the court takes up the afternoon, please.
Bond court is a free service, but it takes several hours of my time every day. Less than 10% of Bond court viewers hit the like button, and less than 1% leave a comment. If you want Bond court to continue to be available on YouTube for free, then please hit the like button and leave a comment on all of my videos.
There is contact, Your Honor.
All right, your name, sir?
Alexander Jose Pedro.
All right, sir, you're here today because you were arrested on a charge of domestic violence battery. I have reviewed the charging affidavit. I do find that there's sufficient probable cause. Were you living at 2619 Pineway Drive?
Yes.
Yeah. Great. Okay. Sir, do you need an interpreter? He does? All right. I guess we'll have to take the headsets off and.
Yes.
All right. So we'll just have to do it, what is it, not contemporaneous. All right, so, sir, you were arrested on a charge of domestic violence battery.
Señor, usted fue puesto bajo arresto ante una acusación de agresión física por violencia doméstica.
Did you find sufficient probable cause for that charge?
He determinado que existen indicios de criminalidad para tal acusación.
All right, so the gentleman in the box, if you could raise your right hand, please.
Así que entonces ahora le hablo al caballero que está en la caja. Por favor, levante la mano derecha.
Solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God.
Jura y promete que el testimonio que va a prestar será la verdad, solamente la verdad y nada más que la verdad. I'm sorry, Your Honor. I'm
Yeah,
going to ask him to
he
repeat.
wasn't speaking into the microphone. I think they've redirected him.
I want to take my nephew out.
Okay. But do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth?
Muy bien, señor, pero usted jura y promete que el testimonio que va a prestar será la verdad.
Yes or no?
¿Sí o no?
¿Cómo así?
I'm sorry.
Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth? Are you going to tell the truth?
Señor, ¿usted jura y promete decir la verdad? ¿Va a decir la verdad?
Sí, yo quiero para llevar a mi sobrino.
Yes, I want to take my nephew with me.
Okay, I understand that. I need you to, are you going to tell the truth? That's the question. That's the only question I'm asking you right now.
Señor, eso yo lo entiendo, pero la única pregunta que le estoy haciendo en estos momentos es si usted promete decir la verdad.
Sí, es porque yo lo llamé a la policía, pero me pelearon un poquito, pero así nomás.
Yes, I was the one that called the police because we had an argument, but you know, it was nothing big.
All right, one more time. Sí or no? Do you promise to tell the truth?
Señor, una vez más, ¿sí o no? ¿Usted promete decir la verdad?
Sí, porque yo lo llamé a la policía para...
Your Honor, may I verify language
Yes.
fair? I think.
Yeah.
Señor, ¿su lengua materna es el español o habla usted una lengua indígena?
Sí, yo hablo español.
Yes, I speak Spanish.
Okay, simple question. Do you promise to tell the truth? Yes or no?
Entonces, señor, esto es una pregunta sencilla. ¿Promete usted decir la verdad? ¿Sí o no?
Solo te está preguntando si que vas a decir una verdad o vas a decir una mentira.
Sí.
Vas a decir verdad, ¿verdad?
Sí,
Thank you.
Diga,
All right.
prometo decir la verdad.
Sí,
All right, that's fine.
Yes.
He said yes. I heard it.
sí.
All right, your name, sir? What is your name?
Señor, ¿cuál es su nombre completo?
Pedro Pablo.
Pedro Pablo.
All right, and you are the alleged victim in this case. Is that right? You can put your hand down.
Señor, puede bajar la mano. Entonces, usted es la presunta víctima en este caso, ¿correcto?
Sí,
Yes. All right, and you don't, you said that you wanted him to come home with you, is that right?
Y entonces usted dijo que usted desea que él regrese a la casa con usted, ¿correcto?
sí.
Yes.
All right, and you don't have any fear of him?
¿Usted no le teme?
No.
No.
All right, do you guys live together? Do you live at the same place?
¿Ustedes viven juntos? ¿Viven en el mismo lugar?
Sí, vive juntos.
Yes, we live together.
All right, and that's at 2619 Pineway Drive?
Y eso es en el 2619 de Pineway Drive.
All
¿Qué
right,
dijo? Yes.
okay. So you want him to be able to come home with you, is that right?
Así que entonces usted desea que él regrese a la casa con usted, ¿correcto?
Sí.
Yes.
Okay. I'll set bond in the amount of $500.
Muy bien, entonces se concede fianza por la cantidad de $500.
And now, Mr. Jose Pedro, you're not to have any hostile contact with your uncle Pedro, okay? No hostile contact. That means you can't yell at him, can't raise a fist to him, can't do anything. You have to be nice to him, okay?
Muy bien, entonces, señor José Pedro, a usted se le prohíbe el contacto hostil con el señor Pedro. Esto significa que no le puede gritar, no le puede levantar el puño, tiene que tratarlo bien.
Okay?
¿Está bien?
Sí.
All right. And
Yes.
so I'll let you go back home and stay with him as long as you don't have any kind of hostile contact.
Entonces, señor, yo le voy a permitir que usted regrese a la casa con él, pero siempre y cuando el contacto entre ustedes sea sin hostilidad.
Okay. And also, so Mr. Pedro, he can't raise his voice to you and can't be hostile to you in any way.
Entonces, señor Pedro, él no le puede levantar la voz a usted ni puede comportarse de manera hostil hacia usted.
Okay? All right.
Okay.
And also, Mr. Jose Pedro, you're not to possess any drugs or any alcohol, and you're not to possess any guns or any weapons.
Y entonces, señor José Pedro, se le prohíbe la tenencia de drogas, alcohol y todo tipo de armas y armas de fuego.
All right, and I will appoint a public defender to represent you.
Se designa el abogado de oficio para que les represente.
Thank you.
Gracias.
Thank you, sir. That was case number 2022 MM3619AO. Your name, ma'am? Does she need a headset?
Se-
Is there also a Spanish witness? Want to speak Spanish as a witness? Do you need an interpreter?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, so we'll do that. All right, your name, ma'am?
Señora, ¿cuál es su nombre completo?
Diane Annette Duque Quinzada.
Diane Annette Duque Quinzada.
Correcto.
All right, ma'am, you're here today because you're arrested on a charge of battery, domestic violence. I have reviewed the charging affidavit and I do find sufficient probable cause.
Muy bien, señora, usted se encuentra bajo arresto porque ha sido acusada de agresión física por violencia doméstica. Habiendo repasado el documento acusatorio, determinó que existen los suficientes indicios de criminalidad.
All right, sir, raise your right hand, please. You solemnly
Señor, por
swear
favor,
that-
levante la mano derecha. I'm sorry, Your Honor.
That's all right, go ahead. All right, do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Y promete que el testimonio que va a prestar será la verdad, solamente la verdad y nada más que la verdad.
Sí.
Yes.
All right, your name, sir?
Michael
¿Cuál es su nombre
Torres.
completo? Michael Torres.
All right, Mr. Torres, you're the alleged victim in this case, is that right? You can put your hand down.
Entonces, señor Torres, puede bajar la mano. Usted es la presunta víctima en este caso, ¿correcto?
Sí.
Yes.
You live with Ms. Quinzada?
Sí.
¿Usted vive con la señora Quinzada? Yes.
Okay. And what do you want to tell me? Do you want her to be able to come back and live with you, or you don't want to have any contact?
Yeah.
Y entonces, ¿qué desea decirme usted? ¿Usted desea que ella regrese a vivir con usted o acaso prefiere que ella no tenga contacto con usted?
Quiero que regrese conmigo a la casa.
I would like her to return with me to the house.
Okay. Well, I can order that she not have any hostile contact, meaning she can't raise her voice or raise a fist or do anything to you. And so would that be all right?
Yo le puedo ordenar que se prohíbe el contacto hostil entre ustedes. Eso significa que ella no le puede levantar a usted la voz, ni le puede levantar las manos, ni tiene que, el contacto con usted tiene que ser sin hostilidad. ¿Eso está bien con usted?
Sí.
Yes.
All right. So, Ms. Quinzada, what I'm going to do is I'll set bond the amount of $500. Okay. You're not to have any hostile contact with Michael Torres. You can have contact with him. You can return to your home and live with him, but no hostile contact. Can't raise your voice. Can't raise a fist to him. In no way are you be hostile to him.
Muy bien, señora, lo que haré entonces es lo siguiente. Se le concede una fianza de $500. Se prohíbe el contacto hostil con el señor Michael Torres. Se le permitirá regresar a la casa, pero no le puede levantar la voz, no le puede levantar las manos, no puede haber ningún tipo de contacto con hostilidad entre ustedes.
Okay, and you're not to use or possess any drugs or alcohol, and you're not to possess any weapons or firearms.
También se le prohíbe la tenencia y consumo de drogas y alcohol, y también se le prohíbe la tenencia de todo tipo de armas y armas de fuego.
And I'll appoint a public defender to represent you.
Se designa el abogado de oficio para que la represente.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
And that was 2022 MM 3623AO. I believe that's it for the interpreter cases.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, we have Jordan as a refusal.
Mr. Jordan's absent himself today. I did review the charging affidavit in his case. I do find that there's sufficient probable cause, and we'll set bond as follows. I'm going to stay the bonds as they were in the initial. For the record, that is $2,500 on battery on a law enforcement officer, $1,000 resisting an officer, $500 resisting an officer. And he was out on bond in case number 2022 CF 570. Revoke that bond. No bond on that. Where's the trafficking?
Your Honor, do you have any drug charges?
I don't. That's what I was just saying. I don't have the trafficking, the possession. I just have the first group. Just reset from yesterday. And that was reset for what reason?
He refused.
Behavior. I guess we maybe need to train some circuit judges. They're the ones who need the training, because that's not supposed to happen. All right, I do have it. It's a 2022 CF 6157AO. It's a count one, trafficking fentanyl, $100,000, possession of methamphetamine, 150, possession of drug paraphernalia, 100, and resisting without 100. I think that does take care of all the ones we had. Yeah, that's it. Okay.
Your Honor, cursed is also a refusal.
And Mr. Curse is being held on an out-of-county warrant. Two of those, I believe. Where is Curse? And those bonds will be set as before. What are the bonds on those, just off the top of your head? I don't see him on here.
On the out-of-county,
Yeah,
it's no bond.
no bond, all right, no bond on those. And he was out on bond, and Osceola County revoked that bond, no bond. Another one reset by Judge Madrigal. An email is in order. Okay. Your name, ma'am?
Debbie Ryan.
Ms. Ryan, you're here today because you're arrested on a warrant
For failure to appear.
for failure to appear on a trespass on a set amount of $2,000. Another one you reset. That's because you didn't come see me.
I wasn't aware. I came on the 11th. Originally, my attorney said it was set for the 26th.
The 26th of
I'm
May.
defending myself. Yes, the 26th
that's
was
when
my
you didn't show
original
up.
date set.
Yeah, that's when you didn't show up.
Well, I checked when I got out of jail, they moved it to the 11th. I went to the 11th to the courthouse. Andrew Robinson from the Sheriff's Department told me I was not on the docket for the 11th, and there was nothing on the 26th, had been canceled. I'd never got notified of anything else. I tried contacting my public defender's office several times, and nothing. So I was not
My
aware.
expectation is that you might have another charge, because this case was never canceled off of the 26th, never. So,
Well, when I checked out, when they released me on 4/20, they told me my court case was on 5/11. They gave me the information with it. I showed up on 5/11. It was not on the docket.
Your
I
Honor.
said originally it was on the 26th. They checked the 26th and said, no, I had been canceled from that date.
yes,
So,
go ahead.
I did not relay the offer to the public defender. I apologize because I didn't realize there was one that had an offer or couldn't have an offer.
Right.
It would be a withhold of adjudication, credit time served, and no return to Lake Eola. There is also a cost of investigation of $78 to the Orlando Police Department.
All right, so Ms. Ryan, if you want to take care of the case today, it'd just be time served, court cost, $78 cost of investigation. I'll give you time to pay it. Is that what you want to do?
yes, please. I would appreciate it.
All right, raise your hand. You solemnly swear testimony you're about to give you the truth, the whole truth, and that's where the truth to help you God.
I do.
All right, and are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol today?
Nope.
Have you suffered from or been treated for any mental illness in the past?
What's that?
Have you suffered from or been treated for mental illness in the past?
Oh, yes.
You take medication for that?
As needed, anxiety.
You understand what's going on here today, though. Clearly, we had a very cogent discussion about where you were supposed to be and when you were supposed to be there, right?
Absolutely.
All right, you understand that by entering your plea today, you're going to give up some rights. You're going to give up the right to proceed to trial, the right to require the state to prove their case beyond a reasonable doubt at that trial, the right to question any witnesses the state may present to testify against you, the right to present your own witnesses, and finally, the right for you to testify or refuse to testify based upon your constitutional right. You understand that?
I understand.
Finally, understand this is punishable by up to 60 days in jail, up to a $500 fine. That's not going to happen. It's going to be what I said. And that the entry of this plea could be used against you if you're not a citizen and they seek to deport you. Understand that?
I understand.
All right, I do find sufficient factual basis. I'll withhold adjudication. You'll be sentenced to time served. All right, I'll impose court costs and a $50 cost of prosecution to the state. There's $78 cost investigation to the Orlando Police Department. And I'll give you 18 months to pay that. You can pay it all at once or slowly, but as long as it's all done within 18 months, okay?
I'll pay it as soon as
All right, you'll be released as to this case.
Thank you.
Your name, sir?
Good morning.
Excuse me, what's it?
Gage Lynn Chittister.
This is the one, this is the one that was,
Can you give me the case number, please, Your Honor?
sure, it's 2022 CF 6216AO.
As was discussed, Your Honor, this affidavit has absolutely nothing to do with the named defendant. So if you could give me 24 hours to clear up this mishap.
Yeah, the problem is the paperwork doesn't relate to you. So I can't find that there's probable cause, so I'll reset it for 24 hours. We'll see you again tomorrow morning, and
There's
then
no possibility of an ROR or anything.
Well, you don't qualify for PTR, no, so, and at this point, I will appoint a public defender for you. All right, so you got a lawyer, and you can talk with them, they'll come and speak with you, all right? Okay. And if they don't have it tomorrow, then I will release you ROR. Okay? All righty. Your name, sir? Your name?
Raekwon Cornish.
All right, Mr. Cornish, you're here today for 4 charges. I have reviewed the charging affidavit. I do find sufficient probable cause as to count 1, throwing a deadly missile at an occupied vehicle, count 2, criminal mischief, count 3, battery, and count 4, resisting an officer without violence. Now, there's no one here. You were not living at 2022 Bentley Street, were you?
Yes.
You do live there? Does Miss Green also live there? Yes. Do you have somewhere else to go other than where Miss Green is living?
Wood.
The woods?
Yeah.
You don't know somebody, you don't know anybody that you can go live with? Because you can't go back to that address. If I set a bond, I'm not going to let you go back to that address, at least until she indicates to the state that she is okay with contact. She's not here, so I can't do that.
I got the woods. That's about it.
Well, you have to have some address. There's no relatives, no friends, you got nothing. Literally, the only person you know in this town is Miss Green.
Thank God. That's about it.
Well, that's unfortunate. I will set bond in the case. As to the throwing a deadly missile, it'd be $1,500. Criminal mischief, $100. Battery domestic violence, $500. And resisting without violence, $100. Will appoint a public defender. You're not to have any contact with Shanta Green. If you do bond out, you're not to return to 2022 Bentley Street. Although I will allow you to go there one time with law enforcement to get, do you have any of your stuff at that address? All right, so I'll let you go back one time to pick up your personal items if you wish. No guns, no weapons, you're not to possess those or possess or use any drugs or alcohol. Okay? Thank you. And again, point of public defender.
That side.
Your name, sir?
Stuart Curry.
All right, Mr. Curry, you're here today because you're arrested on 3 charges: ag assault, domestic violence, ag assault, domestic violence, and battery domestic violence. I have reviewed the charging affidavit. I do find there's sufficient probable cause. Were you, okay, are you living at the 3139 Rolling Hills Lane address?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, ma'am, raise your right hand. Come on, both you guys, raise your right hands. Solemnly swear testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God.
Yes.
Your name, ma'am? Your name?
Jessica
Last name?
Curry.
All right, and your name, sir?
James Curry.
Okay, Miss Curry, what did you want to tell me?
I want to tell you that my husband never laid a finger on me. I did not call the police. I told the police I did not want to leave a statement or press any charges. And this was out of character. I've been married to him for 23 years. Nothing like this has ever happened. I do not fear him, and I want him to come home.
So didn't you tell law enforcement, first of all, didn't you call 911 and then tell them that you feared him?
I did not call 911.
Okay. What about you, young man? What's your position?
I was the one that called 911, because he's never done anything like this, so I was concerned, but it is very out of character for him, and I do not fear him. I also want him to return.
All right. You know I can't protect you if we just let him back in, right?
Yes.
I can say that he had not have any hostile contact with you, but that doesn't necessarily, that's just words. You understand that?
Yes,
You
sir.
still want him to come home?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. As to the aggravated assault, the count 1, I'll set bond amount of $1,000. Aggravated assault, count 2, $1,000, and $500 on the battery. No hostile contact, so you can go home.
Thank you, sir.
But you can't have any hostilities. No raising your voice, no throwing anything, don't chase them, don't scream at them, nothing. You understand that? Anything like that, you make a phone call and he's back in jail. That's a violation. You understand?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. No guns, no weapons, and you're not to use or possess any drugs or alcohol. Okay? All right.
If I have weapons, I have to take them out the house.
What do you have?
Some pistols and rifles.
Yeah, you need to do you have someone who could take those for you, or you can turn them over to law enforcement for safety?
You can take them for me.
All right, those need to be out of your house within 48 hours.
Got it?
Okay? All right. All right, thank you. And I'll appoint a public defender to represent you, at least at this point at this time. Okay? All right. Good luck.
Thank you.
Your name, ma'am?
Amber Jazz, folks.
All right. And raise your right hand, please. Solemnly swear testimony about to give be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes, sir.
Your name?
Tommy Ackman.
Ms. Folks, you're arrested on a charge of aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. I've read the charging affidavit. I do find there's sufficient probable cause. And you are the alleged victim, is that right?
Yes, sir.
All right. What do you want to tell me?
I want to let her go, man. It was a misunderstanding. Just want to let her, be released.
So you don't have any fear of her if she returns home?
No, sir.
And that gun, was that her pistol?
No, that was mine.
Okay. All right, if I let you go home, you can't have any hostile contact with them. You're going to be able to do that?
Yes, sir.
All right, so be no hostile contact. I'll let her return to the home. I'll set bond the amount of $1,000. No weapons no firearms, no weapons at all. You can't possess anything like that. And I don't think you're supposed to have a firearm anyways, because I think you're out on bond on possession of a firearm. I'll leave those bonds in place. I won't revoke those bonds. No drugs, no alcohol, okay? And I'll appoint a public defender to represent you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Your name, sir?
Hernandez, Matthew.
Hi, Mr. Hernandez. You're here today because you're arrested on a charge of domestic violence, battery by strangulation, and child abuse. I think this is another one that I have a problem with. Did you guys?
Yes, Your Honor.
It's all they have is conclusions.
Yes, Your Honor.
Is there another, I guess there's another report? And there's no one here, of course.
Probably. I just don't have it at this time, Your Honor. So again, if I could have another 24 hours.
Yeah. And he didn't make a statement, so. All right, so at this point, the paperwork that they have doesn't establish probable cause, so the state's allowed to ask for 24 hours. I will give them that. We'll bring you back tomorrow morning, but if we come back and they don't have it then we'll release you. Okay, hopefully they'll have it, we can set it, and then you can go ahead and go about your way, okay? All right, so I'll grant the state 24 hours to establish that. Your name, ma'am?
Sharon Pond.
You don't look like you're 6'7". The charging affidavit said that she was 6'7". Wow, this must be a basketball player. All right. Ms. Pond, you're here today because you're arrested on a charge of aggravated battery with a deadly weapon, domestic violence. I have read the charging affidavit. I do find sufficient probable cause. Your name, sir? Oh, raise your hand. Solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your name?
Brandon Fitzsimmons.
All right, sir, and you are the alleged victim in this case?
Yes.
All right, tell me what you want, what you want me to know.
Well, I want her to come home with me, but we live in Iowa. We're here on vacation,
And when are you supposed to go back to Iowa?
today.
So you don't have any fear of her? If I order to have no hostile contact, that should take care of it, from your perspective?
Yes, absolutely.
All right, so if I do that, Ms. Pond, do you understand that that means you can't raise your voice, you can't throw anything at him, can't raise a fist, can't be hostile to him in any way?
Yes, I understand.
All right, I'll set bond the amount of $500, no hostile contact with the alleged victim, no guns, no weapons, can't possess any guns or weapons, no use or possession of any drugs or alcohol, okay? Now, you can go back, and I'll appoint a public defender to handle the, at least at this point in time, keep in contact with your lawyer if you do return back to Iowa, okay? All righty.
Lila Rodriguez. Thank you.
All right, Mr. Rodriguez, you're here this morning because the state of Florida, you were arrested on a charge of aggravated battery with a firearm.
Not guilty?
I have reviewed the charging affidavit, and I do find that there's sufficient probable cause. There's no one here, okay. Did you live at that Silver Pines Place address?
Yes.
And, does Samuel live there as well?
He's the worker. He goes away for work a lot, but pretty much, yeah.
So if he's there, where can you go to live if he's there?
I'd have to make some phone calls. However, I would put in the request to, it's
Well, as it stands
not
now,
on the lease. It's my apartment.
and I understand that, but if that is his residence, I can't let you go back there if he's there, unless he was here to say he didn't have a problem with contact with you. So since he's not here, I can't do that. I'm gonna have to, I'll order that you not return there. I'll set a bond in the amount of,
Bond?
yeah. Let's see, I was supposedly just hit him with the gun, right, yeah. I'll set bond in the amount of $500. You're not to have any contact with Samuel Elias Espada Jr., E-S-P-A-D-A Jr., no contact with him, you're not to return to 2235 Silver Pines Place. Now, you can go back there one time with law enforcement, okay? So you can go back there with an officer to get any of your personal items that you may need so that when you go to stay with your friends. Now, that may only be on the short term. If he contacts the state and the state agrees to no hostile contact, then you could return there when he's there. But for right now, you can't be there if he's there, okay?
Okay, so that's what I was gonna ask. He'd need to call and say either he will leave the residence or it's okay?
Well, right now, assume that you can't go there. If he does leave there and contacts the state and says, look, I'm out of here, or your attorney, see, I'm gonna appoint a public defender as well. They can follow up with that, and that can be changed or modified later on, but for right now, don't go back unless you take law enforcement to get your items, okay? Don't possess any weapons or any firearms. Don't use or possess any drugs or alcohol. Okay?
Yes, sir.
Correct.
Your Honor, Tristan Weaver is mental health.
Not that one.
Weaver. Oh. And if you'll point us, I will waive the appearance, Your Honor.
All right, I do find sufficient probable cause of Mr. Weaver. As to the battery charge, $500. No contact with Danielle Kimbrough. No return to 5455 Point Vista, although I think that's just an apartment complex where they were doing laundry, but not to return to that address as well. But again, no contact with Danielle Kimbrough, no guns, no weapons, no drugs, no alcohol. $1,000 bond on possession of heroin, and appoint a public defender.
Trey Anderson.
right, Mr. Anderson, you're here today because you're arrested on a charge of domestic violence battery. I have reviewed the charging affidavit, and I do find that there's sufficient probable cause. Were you living at the Chola Way address?
No, sir.
You don't live at that address at all?
No, sir. I was coerced into coming back because I was told.
Yeah, you don't want to talk about the case, but yeah, just specifically.
No, I
So
didn't.
you have another place to go to live?
Yeah, yes, sir.
Okay, all right,
That was
great.
yes.
All right. All right, what I'll do is I'll set bond the amount of $500. You're not to have any contact with Lila, Laila, Ibrahim, Ibrahim, and Diana is her last name also, Ibrahim. Where is it? No contact with Diana Ibrahim. I'm going to go ahead with that.
Yes, Your Honor, it is Ibrahim.
Okay. You're not to return to 5114 Cholla Way, Cholla Way, number 8. Do you have any items there or anything at all there?
No, sir.
Okay.
The officer let me remove them.
Then you don't need to go back. That's perfect. So you don't need no return there, no contact with Diana or her children, and no guns, no weapons, no drugs, no alcohol. Okay? And I'll appoint a public defender to represent you.
Javon Chinapin.
All right, ma'am, you're here today because you're arrested on a charge of domestic violence battery. I have reviewed the charging affidavit, and I do find that there's sufficient probable cause. No one's here, okay. Were you living at the Palm Drive address?
Yes.
And do you have another place to go for right now?
Yeah, my mom.
Okay, all right. Well, you do qualify for pretrial release. I can give you, release you pretrial release so you don't have to post a bond. There will be conditions. You got to phone in and things like that. If you don't want to have to deal with that, then I can also just set a bond, but that's up to you.
I'll do the pretrial.
Okay, I'll release you with pretrial release conditions. You're not to have any contact with your husband, Johnny Chinapin, Chinapen. No contact at all with him right now. No return to 601 Palm Drive. You can go there one time with law enforcement to pick up if you have any items, any personal items you need.
Okay.
Of course, if your husband contacts the state, then it may be possible for you guys to have contact at a later time, but for right now, no contact. No drugs, no weapons, no alcohol, and no firearms. Okay? And I'll appoint a public defender to represent you. Your name, sir?
Dan Ortiz.
And we have it as all one Delgado Ortiz, but it's
Uh-huh.
Ortiz, is that right? Okay. All right, you're here today because you're arrested on a charge of violence battery. I have reviewed the charging affidavit, and I do find sufficient probable cause. No one here for that. Do you live at the 3651 North Goldenrod 106? Was that your
No,
address? No.
that's my mother's house. I'm here for vacation.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So do you have another place to go other than that address? And assuming where is, let's see. Is Amberlyn at that address?
No.
Do you know where she is?
Hmm?
Do you know where she is?
In the address of my mom?
Yeah,
Supposedly I read she went to a friend's house.
but you don't know for sure. All right. And she's not here. All right. I will set bond the amount of $500. You're not to have any contact with Amberlyn. What is her last name? Luna, Luna. No contact with her whatsoever. I will allow you to go back to your mom's house only if Amberlyn is not staying there. Okay, if she is there, you can't go there. So what I would suggest is you call your mom before you go to her house and say, hey, is Amberlyn staying there? If she is, you can't go.
I talked to her. She told me she had left. I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. I'm just telling you, that's the key.
I'll do that.
You got it? All right. And so if she is still staying there, then you can go there once with law enforcement and get some personal items. If she's not there, you can go back and stay with your mom, okay? No guns, no weapons, no drugs, no alcohol, and I'll appoint a public defender to represent you.
Your Honor, just for consistency, as he's going to be leaving the state, do you have any objection to him leaving the state?
No, I don't, but make sure you keep in contact with your attorney. You got to stay in contact and so that they know where you are, okay? When you bond out, make sure your bondsman knows that you are returning, was it Pennsylvania? Yeah, that they know where you're going to be up there, okay? Your name, ma'am?
Alma Figueroa.
Nobody here for her either. All right, Ms. Figueroa, you're here today because you're arrested on a charge of domestic violence battery. I have reviewed the charging affidavit, and I do find that there is sufficient probable cause. Oh, yes, somebody's getting up. Oh, they were just. The address that we have is the Coral Coast Drive. Is that your home address?
Yes.
And I guess your daughter lives there? Who was the, let's see. Yeah, your daughter is there now, huh? There's no one here for you. Is there anywhere else you can go in the short term, other than going back to that house? Because if your daughter is there, I can't let you go there for right now.
I'll have to stay at a friend's house.
I'm sorry?
I will have to stay at a friend's house.
Okay. Do you have a friend that you could contact to do that?
I can contact them.
Okay, all right. Then, and you also qualify for pretrial release, which would not require a bond. There are conditions that come with pretrial release, but that wouldn't require you to post a bond. I can post a bond if you want to go that way, which would have less conditions, but you have to put either $500 up cash, or you'd have to get a bondsman, and that they charge for that. So would you like the pretrial release, or do you want me to set a bond?
Which is the quickest way to get out? I'd rather do
Not sure what's going to be. I don't know what's quicker, but
trial, I guess.
you wouldn't have to call a bondsman or have someone bring $500 cash if you go with PTR.
Pre-trial release.
All right, I'll release your pretrial release with the pretrial release conditions. You're not to return to 1233 Coral Coast Drive, at least at this point, and you're not to have any contact with your daughter. Bianca Vidal, Vidal. No drugs, no weapons, no guns, no alcohol, and I'll appoint a public defender to represent you. Okay? Your name, sir? Your name, sir?
Travis Gamble.
All right, Mr. Gamble, you're here today because you're arrested on a charge of domestic violence battery. I have reviewed the charging affidavit. I do find sufficient probable cause. Do you have another place to go other than the Grand Hilltop Drive address?
No.
All right. Raise your right hand, please, ma'am. Solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
And your name is?
Mary Luz Martier.
All right. And you are the alleged victim in the case, is that right?
That's correct.
All right. Tell me, do you want him to come home or do you not want him to come home?
No contact.
All right. So no contact at all. And you live at the Grand Hilltop Drive address?
No, sir.
You
That's
don't?
where we were having family time.
Okay. So you have another address other than that. If he returns there, you don't have to go there.
I live at 722 Alexander Palm Court.
Okay, well,
Where my
that,
kids are.
I don't really, it's not important, I don't have to hear where it is, but you're not gonna be staying there, so if I let him return to that address, you don't have any problem with that,
Yes, because I live.
because you're gone. Okay, perfect, yep.
We
Yeah.
live at the same address.
What's that?
We live at the same address.
Well, she's not there anymore, she just told me she's gone.
No, the Grand Hilltop, we were at a function. That's not our residence.
Okay, where are you living now? So you're living at the same place, well, you can't go there. Okay, so,
All my stuff and my dog, everything.
we'll deal with that, we can handle that, that's not a problem. All right, so you don't want any contact at all?
No contact.
All right, will do. Okay, so, I will set bond amount of $500. You're not to have any contact, with Mary Lou's. And your last name again, ma'am, was it?
Martyr.
Can you spell that for the record?
Martir.
Okay, you're not to have any contact with her whatsoever?
Your Honor.
And what is that address that you guys were living together at?
722 Alexander Palm Court in Longwood, Florida, 32779.
All right, you're not to return to that address. You can go back one time with law enforcement. That's right. You can go back there one time with law enforcement to your address to pick up any personal items that you may have there. But you can't have any contact with her at all, and you can't go back and live there. You're gonna have to live somewhere else. Okay, you have to find someplace else to stay. Can't stay where she's at. You're not to possess any guns or weapons. You're not to possess or use any alcohol or drugs. And I will appoint a public defender to represent you. Now, he's not to have any contact. That means no phone calls, no texts, no letters, no Valentines, nothing. He can't have any contact. He can't have someone else call you. You understand that? No contact at all. That means you can't have your friend call her or send her a text either. That would be a violation of the bond, all right? You're all set. Thank you,
Your
ma'am.
Honor, I had one more request.
What's
Is
that?
it possible for me have non-contact also in my place of business that I own?
Yeah, he's not to have any contact anywhere you are. So,
Okay,
yeah.
just
all right.
want to make sure.
Yeah, can't go to anything, okay?
Thank
All
you.
righty. All right, your name, ma'am?
Yeah, Joseph.
All right, Ms. Joseph, you're here today because you're arrested on a charge of domestic violence battery. I have reviewed the charging affidavit, and I do find that there's sufficient probable cause. So, were you living at the Hinckley Road address?
Yes.
Okay. And no one's here for her. All right. So do you have another place to go and stay? Do you have any friends or anyone like that, grandparents, anyone like that you could go stay with? Because I can't let you go back there if your sister is living there also, and that's the alleged victim.
I do.
Excuse me?
I said I think so.
Okay. You can call a friend or someone who can come, you can stay with them? All right. Okay, I'll set, actually, you do qualify for pretrial release. I'll release you on pretrial release conditions. You're not to have any contact with Anastasia Cherilus, Cherilus, no contact with her. You're not to return to 1931 Hinckley Road. You can go back there with law enforcement one time. You can call the police or the sheriff, and they'll go with you if you need to get like personal items, some clothing, and things like that. You can go and get that. And I will appoint a public defender to represent you.
And is this going to be an ongoing trial until they find out what's going on or whatever? I'm not sure.
On this case, yeah, what'll happen is now it'll go through, and then the state will decide whether they're gonna file it, so to see whether or not there actually is, they do actually go forward on the charges. And then if they do, it'll get set for arraignment, and then from there to pretrial. That's why I appointed a public defender for you. Just make sure you keep in contact with your attorney. They'll be able to keep you up to date as to what the court dates are.
And can I also get my own attorney?
Yeah, sure. If you do, then just let them know that, and the public defender will withdraw. Okay? All righty. Your name, ma'am?
Giant Morales.
All right, Ms. Morales, you're here because you're arrested on charge of domestic violence battery. I have reviewed the charging affidavit, and I do find that there's sufficient probable cause. All right. Raise your right hand, please. Solemnly swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
Your name?
Zamara Etienne.
All right. And you are the alleged victim in the case?
Yeah.
All right. Tell me, do you want to have contact with her or no contact?
Of course.
You want to have contact?
That's there's nothing wrong. I don't fear her. We lost everything recently, so I think it's just stress.
Okay. All right. So if I let her come home, you're not going to be in fear or anything like that.
Oh.
Okay. All right. You do qualify for pretrial release. I can let you go on pretrial release conditions. There are conditions, but it doesn't mean you don't have to post a bond. Or I can set a bond of $500. Then it won't be as many conditions. You want a pretrial release, or do you want me to set a bond?
Preach.
What, $500? When it gotta be due?
What's that?
Oh, now?
To get out, you'd have to post a bond, or a pretrial release, there's no bond that's associated, but you will have to call in from time
So
to
if I get a
time.
bond, I have to pay now? Oh, no.
To get out, you can pay whenever you want to get out.
She wants.
Trial.
All right, I'll release you with pretrial release conditions. Now, what it's gonna be is no hostile contacts. You can have contact with you.
Not hostile.
Can't raise her voice, can't, do anything hostile at all. You understand? Nothing hostile to her, okay? And that's it. But you can't have contact. I'll let you return back to your home. Don't possess any weapons or firearms, and don't possess or use any alcohol or drugs. Okay? And I'll appoint a public defender for you. Thank you, ma'am.
Right now.
Your name, ma'am?
Shanquell Overby.
All right, Ms. Overby, you're here today because you're arrested on charge of domestic violence battery. I have reviewed the charging affidavit, and I do find sufficient probable cause. Were you living at that Sand Lake Road address? Oh, no, it looks like that's a vacation.
Yeah,
It's
we were on
It's
vacation.
a hotel.
Yeah, we were on vacation.
All right. Where are you from?
Georgia. Well, I live in Georgia. I'm from Jacksonville, though.
All right. And the rest of your family, no one's here. So it was the alleged victim is your son, is that right?
No, my husband.
Your husband?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I do find sufficient probable cause, and what I will, at this point in time, you can't have contact with him.
Yeah.
Because he's not here to say that he wants that. So there'll be no contact with, and it's Lawrence, is that right? Lawrence N. Overby Jr.?
Yes.
All right, no contact with him. No guns, no weapons, no drugs, no alcohol. Now, you do qualify for pretrial release. I can let you go without having a bond, but there are conditions that go with that. Is that what you want me to do?
Yes, sir.
All right, so I'll pretrial release conditions, and I'll appoint a public defender to represent you.
Yes, sir.
All right? Come on up, sir. Your name, sir?
Shaquem Malik Perkins.
Mr. Perkins, you're here because you're arrested on a charge of domestic violence battery. I have read the charging affidavit, and I do find that there's sufficient probable cause. And this, let's see, it was a parking lot. Yeah, were you living with, let me see, what is her name? Just says victim.
Tashira McKay.
Yeah, were you living with Miss McKay? No. All right. So, what is your home address?
All right, now I'm currently homeless. I use an address in Orlando.
Okay. Where are you going to go if you get out?
The address in Orlando.
Okay.
330. No.
And that's she doesn't live at that address.
No, sir.
Okay. All right. Okay. I'll set bond the amount of $500. You're not to have any contact with her. Okay. At this point in time, no contact whatsoever. No guns, no weapons, no drugs, no alcohol. All right. And I will appoint a public defender for you so that you'll have a lawyer working on the case. So keep in contact with them. Even if you're knocking around and you don't have a regular address, make sure you keep in contact with your lawyer so that they can tell you when court is and keep you apprised of what's going on. Okay?
And there's a second
Oh,
case,
Second case.
232.
What did I just do? 231? Of course, I opened 231 again. All right. You also were arrested and charged with resisting without violence. I did find sufficient probable cause, set bond of $100 on that. Okay? Your name, sir?
Yeah, Maya, ready?
All right, sir, you're here today because you're arrested on a charge of domestic violence battery. I have reviewed the charging affidavit, and I do find that there's sufficient probable cause. Were you living at the 4410 the Medallion Drive, apartment 318?
Yes, sir.
And does Ashley Horner also live there?
Comes and visits. I mean,
So that's not her house, though.
no, sir.
And so she's not staying there currently?
No, sir.
All right,
We stay like weekends.
okay. So she just would come by when you were there?
Yes, sir.
All right. Does she have her own residence?
Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. And I'll let you go back there, but she can't be there. All right, because I'm going to order that you have no contact with Ashley Horner at this point in time. So no contact whatsoever, no phone, no text, no personal contact, nothing. And if she is at 4410 Medallion Drive, apartment 318, you can't be there. So she actually is staying there and you're wrong and you thought that she'd moved out? Yeah,
It's my apartment. I'm on the lease.
I understand that, but if she was living there, like you invited her into your house and she stayed with you. If she was living there before you got arrested, you can't go back if she's still there. Can't go back, all right? So if she is living there, you can't go there because you're not allowed to have any contact with her. I don't have any control over her, but if you're there, when you go there and she's there, I got control over you and you'll end up back in jail. Okay?
Yes, sir.
So, no guns, no weapons, no drugs, no alcohol, and I don't want you to, and I'm going to appoint a public defender as well. Actually, you do qualify for pretrial release, so I could either set bond at $500 or I can release you with pretrial conditions.
Whichever one's quicker.
Pretrial release probably, and also that's not going to cost you any money. But there are conditions. All right, PTR conditions then. Your name, sir?
Jonathan Soto.
Hi, Mr. Soto. You're here today because you're arrested on a charge of domestic violence battery and resisting an officer without violence. I have read the charging affidavit. I do find sufficient probable cause on those two cases. Were you living with with Angela Natal?
Yes, that's my girlfriend.
So you
and
guys, and you are currently at the same address?
yes, we're both currently at the same address. She's the mother of my 3 kids.
All right.
So.
Do you have another place to go other than that address right now?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so, because she's not here to say that she wants to have contact with you, so I can't let you go back to that address. What is your address with her?
I am currently homeless at the time. We're staying by the courthouse on Orange, but I have an address of my friends down by. It is.
So she doesn't actually have a physical address?
No, we don't. We both don't physically have an address. We're both currently homeless at the time.
All right, okay. What I'll do then is I'll just say no contact then with Angela Natal, Natal. No contact at all. Can't call her, can't talk to her, can't send her a text, can't have someone else do that for you.
Okay.
Okay? No drugs, no weapons, no alcohol, and no firearms. I'll appoint a public defender to represent you. Okay?
All right. Well, what does this mean?
Bond, Your Honor?
What was the bond?
Oh, 500. It's 2 count. Oh, yeah, 500 and 100. 500 on the domestic violence battery, $100 on the resisting.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Your name, sir?
Jamal Warner.
Mr. Warner, you're here today because you're arrested on a charge of domestic violence battery. I have reviewed the charging affidavit. I do find that there's sufficient probable cause. And let's see. So, were you living at the Dewey Avenue address?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And does Ms. Hollis live there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So she's going to be there. So I can't let you go back there right now. Do you have another place to go on the short term? Friend, family?
We'll say family.
All right, because I can't let you go back, so, and you're not to have any contact with her. So I will set bond. Actually, you qualify for pretrial release. If you'd rather do that, I can set bond at $500, and you'd have to post a bond, either a cash bond or with a surety. Or you can go on pretrial release, which There are conditions that go along with that, but you don't have to post any money.
How long would this pretrial release?
At least, until the domestic violence judge either releases you from those conditions or the case doesn't go forward. I mean, there's any number of. What was that?
Pretrial release, Your
All right, I will release you with pretrial release conditions. No contact with, Ms. Mace, what was it again?
No, they can give that back to him.
Latrice Hollis?
Yes, Ms. Hollis. It's Daisha, D-A-S-H-E, Latice, L-A-T-I-C-E, Hollis. No contact with her. No return to 1214 Dewey Avenue. And no drugs, no weapons, no alcohol, and no firearms. And public defender is appointed. You're all set. Your name, sir?
Even Duke, sir.
Mr. Duke, you're arrested on a warrant from out of county. There is no bond on it, is that right? Yeah, there is no bond. What county is that? And from Volusia County. They will be made aware of the fact you're here, and hopefully they'll come get you. Okay? Mhm. Hillsborough, none. Your name, sir?
Draven English.
I'm Mr. English. You're here on an out-of-county bond from Hillsborough County. Bond is set in the amount of $250. Yep. Your name, sir?
Keon Jawan Bell.
All right, Mr. Bell, you're here for a couple of things. First of all, you were here on a arrest affidavit for a violation of probation on the possession of cocaine, possession of Utalone charges. There's no bond in those violation of probation counts. And in addition, you had another case. Also a driving from a violation of probation on your DUI case. And there is no bond on that as well. Or no, did she set a bond? No bond on that. And is that it?
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you. And I'll appoint a public defender on those VOPs for you. Your name, ma'am?
Eddie Fedrick.
All right, Ms. Fedrick, you're here on a violation of probation or violation of community control. There is no bond on that. I'll appoint a public defender on that charge if you don't have one already.
Okay.
All right.
Your Honor, Maui is medical.
All right, in Mr. Mallory's case.
And I will waive the appearance, Your Honor.
And it's a warrant for violation of probation, no bond on all three counts. Your name, sir?
Sean.
Last name?
Sean Pericles.
All right, Mr. Pericles, you're here for a number of things. First of all, in 2020 CF 4295, you're arrested and there's a violation of probation on, it's like 4 counts. There's no bond on that violation of probation. And I'll appoint a public defender to represent you on that if you don't have one already. 2022 CF 756AO. This was, you're arrested on a probable cause warrant for the charge of possession of a weapon or ammo by a gang-related felon or delinquent. And there is bond of $5,000 on that. I'll appoint a public defender to represent you on that. And then there's 2022 CF 6210 AO. Possession of 20 grams of cannabis or more, and bond is set, there was probable cause of a bond of $1,000 on that. Appoint a public defender to represent you on that.
right, sir.
You're out on bond on an Osceola loitering and prowling. I'll just leave that in place. I'm not gonna deal with that.
So,
Okay.
Just said it.
33-day motions. Tracy Devon Charles.
Can you give me the case numbers, please, Your Honor?
Sure. 2022 CF 4671 AO.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
(2022) CF 2876 AO, Alan Costello.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
(2022) CF 4711 AO, Robert Lee Irvin.
Granted, case was no billed.
(2022) CF 4605 AO, Stephen DeLeon.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
2022 CF 1694 AO.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
2022 MM 2730 AO, Tatum Gerhart.
Denied, information was filed.
(2022) CF 4705 AO.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
Matters if they're not coming.
2022 CF 3353 AO.
Chancellor James.
Yes, Chancellor James.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
(2022) CF 4759 AO, Timothy Lyman.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
2022 CF 4798 AO, Elliot Preston.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
2022 CF 4790 AO.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
And 2022 CF 4724 AO.
Granted, notice of non-filing.
That should do that.
Nothing further from the state, Your Honor. May I be excused?
Yes, you may.
What time are we returning?
What time you guys want me to come back? About 48 to read, so.
Corrections, need an hour. Or,
I'm at your beck and call. What do you guys want?
I'm fine with an hour, but whatever corrections needs.
Yep.
I'm okay with an hour.
Perfect. 11:30? Alrighty.
Yes.
We'll be here.
Bond court is a free service, but it takes several hours of my time every day. Less than 10% of Bond court viewers hit the like button, and less than 1% leave a comment. If you want Bond court to continue to be available on YouTube for free, then please hit the like button and leave a comment on all of my videos.